Live to the broadcast. Good evening, guys. Welcome back to DHADCAN Foundation's second day of the National Virtual Conference on EQ, Emotional Quotient, a concept for heartful neuro leadership. And here we are with our first speaker of day two of this National Virtual Conference, Mr. Sanjay Sehgal, sir. A warm welcome to DHADCAN Foundation's event, sir. I, Durgan Foundation, the host and moderator, extend my warm welcome and greetings to Mr. Sanjay sir. As we all know that he is one of our very renowned businessmen, and from his busy schedule, he has brought some time for us, and we are overwhelmed to have you, sir, with us today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Anshuman.
Thank you, sir. For a
I
very
must
short,
say,
yeah,
go ahead.
for a very short introduction, would like to just give a very short introduction of Sanjay sir. Sir is the founder and CEO of MSIS Group and Heartfulness Meditation Trainer, global businessman, and a heartful human. Sanjay sir is the founder and CEO of MSIS Technologies USA with passion for philanthropy that he embedded through heartfulness meditation. He is a global businessman, technology entrepreneur, and an experienced speaker with a remarkable ability to strike the right balance between business and conscious living that has influenced many. He is like a monk who decided to work and make a positive difference in the society. We warmly welcome you, sir.
Thanks for having me, Anshuman. Thanks for introducing me to the audience. I'm not that big of a guy or not that successful of a guy. Like many, I have just earned some good living through modest means and continue to do so.
So that's something big thing for us that you have joined us today, and we all know what you have achieved, and you are really a great inspiration for all of us and all our audience who have joined us today for this seminar.
Sure. Tell
Sir,
me how I can share all the wisdom through my gray hair with all of you young guys.
great, sir. Sir, as we all know that you have made a very big name in India and abroad. So, sir, first of all, would like to know about your journey from how you reached from a boy of young age to such a great position.
Well, if only you had a crystal ball, right? Then you would
Right, sir.
perhaps know that you also may become one day a very successful and a great man. I mean, perhaps you still are, right?
Right, sir.
I think I my journey has been very interesting, and and I'm sure everybody's journey is interesting. And I think it is the resilience that we all have that will help us succeed. If there is one quality that everybody says that human beings are really at the top of the evolutionary scale, right? I mean, a Darwin theory, if you see, and all that, and there are many other theories where they say the human beings are at the top of the pyramid, right? I mean, there are various kinds of other species below that. Now, if you think about it, what makes human beings so special? Some people say, oh, because we have intelligence, we have mind, we have this, we have that. I would say because we have we are social animals, because we have ability to help each other. If there is one thing which I can share with you all, that is, it is not wrong to be competitive, but it is better to be a good human, which means helping one another. In one of our heartful curriculums that we have for schools, I think I remember there used to be, or this perhaps still is, an exercise where to all the students in the class we would give a small piece of paper, and we'll give a same size paper to everyone, and we'll tell them that you can do anything to anybody's paper, right? And the one with the bigger size of paper will win, right? And people will go around tearing each other's paper, right? And as a result, everybody's left with small pieces. Everybody. If at the end they find one guy slightly bigger, they will go and just tear it last minute before the bell rings. Everybody loses. We do it again next day. We do it again third day. And invariably we find fourth, fifth day, they all learn. And they don't tear anybody's. Everyone wins. Right?
Right, sir.
So if you ask me, personally, when I think back, and this is not something I've shared earlier with people, this is the first time because I was thinking about it earlier today. What makes us so special as human beings is the fact we are social, we have ability to help one another. And that has been, in a way, for me personally, the hallmark of my journey. You know,
Right,
my
sir.
journey personally has not just been the journey of Lone Ranger fighting the battles of the professional field or this field or that field, but it is the journey where I have always been helped by people, a journey where I have always been able to help others. And I think that's what makes the journey enjoyable. So there's one
Right, sir.
lesson to all of you youngsters there, that it is very important to realize we are what we are at the top of the Darwin's theory, of all the species is because we have that ability to help others.
Right, sir. Sir, before moving ahead, I would be very happy if you could please share your views about the topic of this national conference, that is EQ, Emotional Quotient, a concept for heartful neuro leadership. Your views, your experience about anything, or your point of view regarding this topic of us.
I have Anshuman. I That's what in a way I have already started discussing that the EQ, emotional quotient, to me is combination of all these skills, right?
Yes, sir.
Including empathy, including ability to help others, because that's what makes us human, right? Emotions, right? Emotions what are the ones which makes us human. Other species don't have that. They all work on survival instinct, whereas we as humans have ability to go beyond that, right? So many people talk about this as soft skills. I'm sure you would have heard about that term.
Yes, sir.
I would term that as human skills. See, there are hard skills, that is, those are the skills for which are required for you to do your job, your task that has been given to you. Soft skills, people talk about various things. I would say these are human skills. Human skills are ability to feel others' pain and your own pain first before you feel others.
Right, sir.
Ability to understand what is needed in a given situation. Now, one thing which something like heartfulness meditation gives us ability to do. There are two benefits I always say the heartfulness meditation brings to a person who's practicing. One is gives him or her ability to understand him or herself better. You think, oh, I am
Right, sir.
this, I am that. You've heard from people, no? अरे मैं ऐसा हूँ मैं वैसा हूँ करके, right? मुझे हमेशा ये अच्छा लगता है, मैं हमेशा मुझे सब पसंद करते हैं. We all have these, I would, what should I say, uh, higher things about our higher image of us than we really are, right? And so what meditation does is normalizes that for you. It gives you an ability to understand yourself better. That is the first benefit of meditation. Second is ability to connect with others in a better way. See, all this stress and all that we talk about. What causes stress? Either you are not able to connect with yourself better, you can do a job much better than you're currently doing. Why you're not able to do it? Because somewhere you're not able to connect with your own self, right? That causes stress in the system, right? Or other is you have been given a task to interact with others, or a task which requires interaction with others, and you're not able to do it. That causes stress. So if you are able to, two benefits of meditation: connect with yourself better, connect with others better, stress
Right, sir.
goes away. So to me, the stress, all these other things are side benefits of meditation. The real benefit is connection, understanding yourself better, understanding others better. You can be a winner. जो जीता वो सिकंदर, राइट? वो जीत,
Right, sir.
जीत उसी में है आपकी,
Right.
राइट? So
Sir,
to going, just to add to that, so to my understanding, your topic of EQ is very relevant in today's time, because people are, it's much needed, especially in the post-COVID era. It is much more needed than ever. People just lived through 2 years of horrible time, and where we didn't even know whether humanity will survive or not. Every time we got this hope that we are going to survive, another wave hit, right? Every time
right,
we
sir.
thought, oh, abhi now COVID is over, but not yet, right? And I think in the economies, and see all the situation that is happening around us. So many of us, some of us perhaps, were insulated because of our families, because of our other things, but a good majority went through hell and still going through hell. So I think it is EQ is more needed now than ever. You know,
Right, sir. Moreover, sir, people usually discuss things in the interviews, like you are a CEO of such a very big company, and we find that people interviewing the new candidates usually talk about IQ, and it is least the interviewers talk about EQ. So, in your opinion, should we also discuss EQ as a part of it?
see, I mean, Daniel Goldman. Many people, the EQ term was, I think, devised by someone like him, and he was a psychologist. And every HR professional, good companies HR professionals now are have already started taking care of that, started considering EQ. Now EQ is not something, a bunch of questions you ask and the guy can ratta maroing those answers and give it to you. No, EQ
Right,
is
sir.
something, it is really understanding you, you know how emotionally stable, how emotionally evolved, how emotionally conscious you are. It is just knowing that. It is not a, okay, you can read a book and excel in EQ. EQ comes through practices like meditation. EQ comes through practices like socially interacting with people around you. EQ comes through
Right.
doing a group project. Let's say building a house for a poor person, poor neighborhood, right? And you do some things like that, that will develop EQ in you. EQ पढ़ाई करके नहीं आएगा, घर बैठे बैठे नहीं आएगा, मम्मी डैडी नहीं सिखा सकते, वो कुछ जिंदगी जीने से आएगा,
Right,
राइट?
sir.
और वो जिंदगी जीने के तरीके मैंने बता दिए। ध्यान करो, मिलके काम करो, और दूसरों की मदद करो। उन तीनों में से करोगे ये सब चीजें तो आप EQ will come. It's okay, no, if I talk in Hindi a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's good, sir, because we are having audience from both the backgrounds who are good with bilingual languages.
ठीक है,
For
very
a
good.
formal introduction of the audience as well, would like to inform you that we are having the audience. They are college students, they are professors, there are scientists, so faculty, college students, and we have a good number of them, all of them. So we can go both in Hindi and English. Sir,
Sure.
if I talk about your journey of materialistic and spiritual life, so after you just made such a big organization and you are the CEO of such a renowned organization, so what major changes you just saw in your materialistic and spiritual life?
What major changes I saw in my spiritual and material life? I think, I don't know how to answer that question. It is, it's a journey that continues. So,
Right, sir.
I as you live through your life, you understand more about yourself, and then you find that more what you have not achieved than what you have achieved. Every time you feel that, you have done a lot, but then you realize there is a lot more you haven't done. So I think the journey continues, and you keep moving, keep marching forward, right? And I
Right, sir.
think what I would like to say to all the folks there is, lage raho munna bhai, right? That is one mantra of life. Resilience, one human quality that will help you succeed is resilience. Lage
Resilience.
raho munna bhai. I think don't give up ever. And I think that is whether it is spiritual life, there are times you feel spiritually, I've been doing this for so long. Do you think I have been anywhere close to the goal? You feel that, and then you feel no, you haven't. But it's okay. What choice do you have but to keep going forward, right? You keep
Right.
going forward, right? So I think that's what I would say. And help is available whenever people need. That is another important thing people should realize.
That's true, sir. Sir, tell us about a time when you had to neutralize a stressful situation in a professional environment. Because I find that you must be having a lot many stressful situations while working, and how you just neutralize all that situation, all those situations in a professional environment.
Yeah, there have been many times. I mean, we all face stressful situations, and then I mean, there have been many, but I think one I would say is where it was, let's say, in my most recent venture, there was a situation where I was trying to uh, build a company after acquiring. Our current company was, I was one of the founders, and there was somebody else who had a major stock in the company, and he was running the company as CEO. So I had to acquire that company, his stake in the company. So after acquiring, there are some of the people who were closer to him. All of a sudden, they left, and then I think that kind of created a very stressful situation. And I live in US. I don't know how many people here know. I Mostly I live in US, and I visit India often. But these days I am visiting more often than I used to visit earlier. But I primarily live in Atlanta, Georgia. So it was a situation for me that I'm not here all the time, and people that I really was dependent on running the company, they all of a sudden they left, and so that did create a stress in the system in a way, and I had to deal with it, and I think, and often people, in some discussions I find with people that we talk about that, oh, you start meditating and all problems go away and all that. And see, meditation, just because somebody is meditating doesn't mean he doesn't have problems. Some may say that he may have more problems than others, but change faces is, he has ability to deal with those, and that's what the strength of EQ in him is.
Right,
Strength of EQ in him
sir.
is that he has ability to deal with those things in a better way. You may have a flat tire, as they say. I mean, you may have an accident, but in the normal circumstance, oh ये हो गया वो हो गया करके क्या हो गया मैं मर गया ये हो गया. Here you have an accident, you have a flat tire. It's okay. Let me find the solution to this problem, right? Rather than being upset at it, rather than being nervous about it or worried about it, right? So problems come, but your ability to handle them changes if you have higher EQ or you meditate on a regular basis, and that is an essential part of our journey, life's journey, and that is an essential part of my life's journey. If I see that my response to the stimulus that comes from outside, I find that has been evolving in my journey. Things which used to bother me a lot earlier don't bother me anytime. So there may be some
Right.
newer things which may bother me, but not the same, right?
Right, sir. So usually it happens that sometime when we get emotionally weak due to any reasons, and it makes an impact on our mood and work, whether it may be in the positive or negative manner. So how should we deal with those things which creates an impact on our mood, on our life, and on our work? And what are the manners we should handle that stuff?
See there is I forgot the name of the author whose quote it is, that between the stimulus and the response lies a gap, right? Between the stimulus and the response lies a gap where one can find the maximum growth in one's life. So, as we say in America, shit happens. Shit happens from outside, shit happens from within you, your own mood swings. I mean, life, life has its own timetable. Life does not follow your timetable. Most of the young guys say, oh, 22 में मैंने 21 में मैं ये कर लूंगा, 22 में ये कर लूंगा, 23 में ये हो जाएगा, 25 में शादी हो जाएगी, 28 में बच्चे हो जाएंगे, 30 में ये हो जाएगा, 35 में ये पे
Right,
किताब पे
sir.
हो जाएगा. That is your timetable. That's not life's timetable, right? And even if you're doing a job, you're getting married, or you're studying or whatever you do, I mean, outside world does not work at your whims and fancies, right? Outside world has its own moods and its own timetable, its own abilities to throw things at you. So that is life. That is what is called life. And I think your ability to deal with that, right, is what makes you a good human being or better human being. So I have faced situations many a time. I just shared one where the guy bought a company and the guy I thought I could depend on for running the company, he quit. So I had to deal with it. I can't just किसको जाके रोएगा मैं, right? When you are the CEO of the company, you can't just go around, hey, क्या हो गया मेरे साथ, right? You can't do all this. So you have to deal with it. So this situation like that, multiple situations like that have come. There was a situation once three of us founded the company together, and our technical founder just decided to not come back. I have recorded in my channels all these some of these stories that where we dealt with things like this, that how two founders start a company, and then one founder has its own he has his own moods. So you have to deal with that too. Right? So I think
That's right,
is
sir.
yeah. So that is uh, I think that's where why EQ is becoming important is because of that. Your ability to handle the outside world, right? How
True, sir.
emotionally stable you are to handle the outside world.
Right, sir. So we are having a question hitting us from Mr. Abhinav, and he's asking, sorry, hello Sanjay sir, being a researcher, I want to ask that what changes you observed in current youth people regarding learning and many other factors too, as well as I want to ask that what challenges you face most as being a CEO.
See, the what changes are observed in current generation of youth. I am very, what should I say, positively hopeful about today's youth. They have a lot more confidence than we did at that age. They have a lot more options also. They have the new set of problems. We had different set of problems. We had problems of not having enough opportunities. They have problems of being, thrown with the thrown with a lot of opportunities, or thrown into a lot of opportunities, so they get confused a lot. But I think the way they tackle these things, their level of confidence, their ability to navigate through all these things, I'm amazed. I'm really. I mean, I will share with you all that not too long ago, I am currently stationed at our international headquarters of Heartfulness, which is near Hyderabad at Kana Shanti Vannam, it is called. And not too long ago we had a very beautiful international youth seminar, and one of those days I wanted to record something for entrepreneurs. I do a lot of podcasts and a lot of videos I record for on entrepreneurship, and I was doing that, and a bunch of youth wanted, they said, we want to talk to you. So I said, okay, well, why don't we just do it this way? You ask me question and I will answer. And I can tell you that I was so surprised. The majority of those youth were actually 17, 18-year old. They were not even in college, or they had just entered the college. And almost every single one of them wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was so, I mean, happy that at our times, I mean, हम लोग सोचते थे कि अच्छा जॉब मिल जाए बहुत है, उसी में शांति हो जाएगी. But how confidently these guys were thinking about building a new company, building a new life, building, and every single one of them. And I didn't know them, and it's not that they had all talked to each other or anything like that. I just individually asked them, and every single one of them, except one guy, he said first he wants to work for 3 4 years, then wants to think about building something on his own. I mean, that to me itself says a lot. Whether they end up doing it or not, they may not do all of them. So I feel, I mean, to answer his first question, the current youth about learning, they want to learn new things. They are willing to take risks, and they are pretty confident. They're quite confident than we were in our at that age. So that is one thing I would say about today's youth. Challenges I face as CEO, I think these days I am waiting for new challenges. The old challenges have been outdated, and I have been dealing with them, and I am okay with dealing with them. There are no new challenges in a while, so maybe some new challenges will come soon. I'm asking for it.
Right,
There are
sir.
no, right. So I think there's life is good. I have dealt with this long enough, right, to be able to manage it well.
Right, sir. Sir, as I see that you are very, very senior to all the youth today, और जहाँ तक मैं समझता हूँ आपके ज़माने में सरकारी जॉब, that tag सरकारी नौकरी, that was
Yeah.
very much popular. And at that moment, planning to start a company, how hard was it?
नहीं देखो, इंसिडेंटली, आई मीन यूर राइट. आई थिंक उस समय ये लोग सरकारी, हमारे टाइम में, और जिस फील्ड में मैं टेक्नोलॉजी फील्ड में था, तो उस फील्ड में सरकारी जॉब लोग सोचते थे. मैं नहीं सोचता था. मैंने जब जॉब यहाँ पहला किया था, किसी कंपनी में लिया था, that's where I had worked for a year or so before I moved to US. And I worked for a few years before starting a company. So I think from that perspective, I would say it was, um, in my family, nobody had ever done a business. Nobody had ever started a business. So I think it was a, I mean, it was a unique, I mean, it's not something that I could, जैसे होता ना किसी के फैमिली का बिजनेस है, उससे सीख लिया, उससे कर लिया, या फैमिली में कोई और अंकल आंटी है, वो हमारे यहाँ कोई दूर दूर तक किसी ने बिजनेस नहीं किया है. And तो there is nothing for me, there is no role model in the family to inspire me. But being in America, I think it's a good, at that time at least, it was a good place for me to feel inspired about doing this on my own, and I did. But it did. I mean, I now when I look back, I mean, none of my other friends did. Even now, recently, I met a bunch of friends from my college days who went with me to Delhi College of Engineering. One was from a business family. He's the only one. I mean, they had a trucking business, so he's the only one who is in business. The rest of the guys, they all are, some kind of job or some. In fact, one guy was in business, now he's doing a job. And so I think people will go for the safer option in our times. But the world belongs to those who can take risks. So I'm a big proponent of being bindas and dreaming big. So to all you who are watching, dream big and be bindas.
Right, sir. So, what is something that you see in the successful people and the youth today that is common? You find that is something very common.
I think successful people are those who are always learning, who never stop learning. And that's the quality I find in today's youth. And successful people also have ability to learn or ability to take risks. And that's what is there in today's youth. So as I said, I'm very, very hopeful about today's youth, today's young generation. They will create great future for themselves and for all of us, because we'll be benefited by it too. If you create a better environment around us, I mean, yeah, it'll help us too. Being the social animals that we are as human beings, that's how I started my discussion with you. That's the, being social. If one person changes a society, we all get benefited, right? So I'm looking forward to more and more things coming out from today's youth mind, today's young minds, to make this world a better place.
Right, sir. So, as we see that being a businessman, you have to deal with a lot many challenges, failures, bad days, stress issues. You must be having a lack of time to discuss, to relax with your family, to enjoy life with your family, and to do a lot many other stuff. So, how you just manage all those things all together?
So see that, managing, I always feel that instead of focusing on managing things, one should focus on managing himself or herself. I think our focus is on the wrong thing. हम बाहर की तरफ देखते हैं, उसके बजाय अपने आप पे फोकस करो, अपने आप को मैनेज करो थ्रू
Right,
various situations. If you are able to do that, you can manage anything.
that's true.
अगर जैसे पेड़ आंधी तूफान आता है, उसकी जड़ें मजबूत हो, तो इट कैन विदस्टैंड. तो बजाय इसके कि पेड़ को आपने ग्रीन हाउस एनवायरनमेंट में पॉली टेंट में रखा है बचा के कि उस पर कुछ ना आए, वो तो आएगा ही आएगा. उसकी जड़ें मजबूत करो. गिव enough nourishment to it so that the tree, it becomes a strong tree. Then anything that comes is, is good, right?
Right, sir.
So that is manage yourself. Don't think that you have to manage others, manage things, right?
Sir, would like to have your views upon how can the youth of today can be good leaders heartfully and by their minds? How can be they emerge to be good leaders in the society, full of heart, full of mind, full of positive aptitude, full of positive attitude, and to work for the society?
So, our one of our heartfulness teachers has said, a perfect human being would be the one who has Eastern heart and a Western mind, right? I mean, the Western mind is the one inquisitive mind. Western mind is the one which, has the ability to invent things, create things. And Eastern heart, when we talk about this, is actually, of course, figuratively speaking, Eastern heart is the one which has that empathy, that love, that ability to relate to others, right? And feel for others. If you can combine this, a creative, analytical, active mind with that strong, rooted, full of values, full of empathy and love for others, that heart, you have a perfect human being. Cannot hear you. I think you are muted. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, as I know it very well that you are a heartfulness practitioner, and I also mentioned it. And continuing to it, Kritika Didi has also joined us, who is also a heartfulness practitioner. So,
All
what you
right.
find is different with heartfulness?
I think maybe we should ask Kritika what is different with heartfulness.
Usually, youth has a question like, why should I go for this heartfulness meditation? Why should I try this heartfulness relaxation? Or why should I meditate in general? So I usually suggest them you must try this heartfulness relaxation. It might help you. So they ask me why should I try this? So would like to know your views. Any one of you, Sanjay sir or Kritika, anyone can please share their views about heartfulness, relaxation or meditation.
Kritika, why don't you go first?
I think you're the senior one.
Ladies first. Ladies first.
um, yeah, so it's been quite some years that I started with heartfulness practice, and I'd also explored other forms of meditation, but I felt that this is something which is quick, which is efficient, and when I say quick, it means that in a short span of time, so let's say what we call as sittings, I am able to come to a calmer state, which probably I would have struggled with if I would have kind of practiced any other meditation. So that I found very beautiful in this practice, and of course, like, you have to practice to kind of to master it. But I really feel that all of these emotional upheavals, at least many of them, I was able to resolve, and I'm still working on them. And I know that I have all the astras. I watched this movie Brahmastra day before yesterday, and I feel that heartfulness is the Brahmastra for me. The meditation is the
Right.
Brahmastra. Absolutely. And last में उस movie का message है that love is the ultimate Brahmastra, or the first. And what else are we doing in this meditation? Which is the result is to become love. And I really connected with that movie as well.
Anupama Gupta is sharing something, and find this is a sort of question that she wants to ask Sanjay sir. Today's youth, at least with few to make friends, please suggest.
I didn't understand. Today's Jews, at least with few.
Okay, she also shared this in our questionnaire session. Yeah, the question means that today's youth is least interested to make friends. What should we
Okay.
do for this? Please suggest.
Well, भाड़ में जाओ, मत बनाओ, सीख लोगे अपने आप. I mean, one thing I'll tell you, um, majority of the people who I mean, this is more in kind of when I'm in Atlanta, people who come say that I want to learn meditation. I said, why? He said, थोड़ा शांति चाहिए. मैंने बोला, मैं बोलता हूँ उनको, यार दारू पी लो, तुम्हें भी शांति, मुझे भी शांति, तुम्हारे घर वालों को भी शांति. क्यों फालतू में तंग करते हैं लोगों को, राइट? मेरा कहने का मतलब है, we all have very very small goals, right? Free, make friends. Oh, how does it matter? Make friend, not make friend, doesn't matter. I feel personally. On one hand, I said the real characteristic of being a human is to be social, to be able to help others, to be able to live in a society, to make a difference to others' lives. That's what makes us human. That is a very, that's a quality which differentiates us from other species on Earth. But friends and all, I think it's a perhaps very psychologically very deeper question. I would not sweat over this if somebody is making less friends or more friends. There's no, I mean, what are friends? I mean, first one has to define the people that you go out to see a movie like Brahmastra. Like Kritika said, I mean, are those friends? The friends, I mean, who's a real friend for you, right? So I think I would say, Anupama, I think maybe you can reach out to me separately and maybe we can talk about it. I will not worry about it. I can tell you myself. I mean, I while when I have one son and I there was a time as a parent I used to feel that, oh, you know, why he doesn't make good friend or too many friends. Then over time, until we were quite frank with each other, I discussed with him, and there was a reason, because you have to find like-minded people, no, to hang out with. Then there was a time I saw as a boy, he used to have a lot of girlfriends, and not girlfriends in the sense of बाइक पे बैठा के घुमाने वाली, मतलब he used to have, because he's then that also we discussed once, and he said because the girls feel safer with him, so and he helps them, and that's why they feel that he is a person who is they can be around him. And बाकी सब लोग शैतानी करते हैं, दारू वारू पी के मस्ती करते हैं, and he's one guy who's they feel they are very safe with. So I think there are reasons for everything. If somebody makes less friends, there is a reason perhaps, and I will not worry about it. But this is a very big topic, Nupama, and I'd love to hear you what your real concern is and maybe help you out. But उस तब तक ध्यान पे ध्यान दो, right?
Right. Thank you very much, sir. It was very good to have you with us, and I find that all the questions which the delegates shared with me, I've asked from my end. I'm extremely sorry if I would have missed a few questions, but as we have to very stick with our time schedule, and we are having a very decided time of 40 to 45 minutes to share with our guest speakers. So, without any delay, would like to thank Sanjay sir for joining us. And switching to our next guest speaker, the second
Thank
I'm
you,
guest
everyone.
speaker.
I will just
first of all,
sign off then. Huh?
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I'm very delighted to share the stage with Sanjay Bhaiya.
No, no, I have to go. Please.
Yeah.
We'll
But
talk.
what
I have
I,
something else to talk to you about. We'll talk later, right?
oh, sure. Why not? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
About
you,
the
Brian.
last topic we were discussing the other day.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, sure. Yeah. Yes.
Welcome, Kritika Didi, to the event of Dhadkan Foundation. Guys, we have Kritika Krishna in the house now, and I'm overwhelmed that Kritika Didi has joined us,
Oh, please
cause
don't get
no doubt
overwhelmed. What is there to get overwhelmed?
she's having a very busy schedule, guys.
Oh,
So we are
please.
having very less time with her. So without any delay, would like to give a very short introduction of Kritika Didi. She is an IIT Delhi alumna. She is an explorer of alternative ways of teaching, learning, and living with education and wellness. As key areas of interest, she loves to dabble with words and voice as a voice artist, writer, poet, and content creator on YouTube. She creates videos on food, travel, poems, interviews with people, and monologues on important aspects of life. She worked in the education sector with NGOs and KFI schools. She currently works with CreateNet Learning and Leadership. She has excelled at delivering seminars on life enhancement during her college days and loves interacting with youth on various topics relevant to lead a meaningful life. She also loves writing soulful poems and songs. Having personally experienced the support that daily meditation offers to face and overcome life's challenges and inner battles over the years, she now volunteers as a certified heartfulness meditation trainer with the Heartfulness HFN Institute. She has also been certified as a Hatha Yoga Asanas trainer by the Heartfulness Institute. Kritika Di believes in each human is born with a unique talent to offer it as a gift to the world. It becomes essential to know it and direct one's life accordingly. The Durkan Foundation warmly welcome you, Kritika Di, to this national conference on EQ, emotional quotient, a concept for heartful neuro leadership. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Anshuman, for sharing such a detailed introduction. But yeah, thank you. So, how shall we do it? How many people are here in the room? I can't see anyone.
So here we are having 20-25 people joining us, and
All right.
from that we are having 150 students of
Hmm.
NEET preparations who have joined us live from a single classroom from the Einstein coaching. So
Right.
they are sitting all together.
Oh, great. Thank you. So, Anshuman, I think that the topic you have chosen about emotional intelligence and raising one's emotional quotient and how it is connected with leadership, how it is connected with learning, I think it's very deeply connected with me. And I'll begin by sharing a story over here, if that's okay,
Yeah,
because
sure, sure.
I think
Welcome.
from there only a lot of insights will come. So I hail from a city called Ayodhya, and I'll use a mix of language, English and Hindi. और वहाँ पे मैंने 10th तक पढ़ाई करी, उसके बाद 11th 12th में मैं दिल्ली आ गई और एक बोर्डिंग स्कूल में पढ़ाई करी. And I think it was the first time that I had experienced समथिंग आउट ऑफ माई कंफर्ट जोन, क्योंकि एक एक छोटे शहर में आप ही अंधों में काना राजा होते हो, आप ही फर्स्ट आते रहते हो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स, एंड देन यू आर इन अ न्यू सिटी with students from all across India, all right, and these are teenagers, I mean 11 12 graders, and you get lost, you simply get lost in the crowd. कोई मुझे कुछ बोल देता था तो मुझे बुरा लग जाता था. दो लोग अगर साइड में खड़े होके कोई बातचीत कर रहे हैं और अगर मान लो गलती से वो हंस रहे हैं और मैंने उनको देख लिया और मुझे ऐसा लग जाता था कि ये तो मेरे बारे में ही कुछ बातें कर रहे हैं, मेरा ही मजाक बना रहे हैं. इट वॉज ऑल गोइंग ऑन इन माई हेड. हालांकि ये जरूरी नहीं है कि वो सच था, but all these stories which my mind was creating for myself, I mean those 2 years was, I think, the most difficult years of my life, but those were the
Right.
2 years who kind of made me to what I am today. And it was all because of I struggled in my emotional domain altogether. मुझे ऐसा लगा कि मैंने टॉप किया, मैंने मार्क्स अच्छे में ले आई, एक अच्छे स्कूल में एडमिशन हो गया, but then too I am definitely not able to manage my emotions. I am definitely not able to handle my own self. और ऐसा लगता था कि मतलब आगे का फ्यूचर काफी ब्लीक लगता था. एंड इट वाज लाइक कि मैं क्या करूंगी आगे, एंड हाउ वुड आई हैंडल माय लाइफ, एंड ऑल ऑफ दोस क्वेश्चंस वर काइंड ऑफ रनिंग थ्रू एंड आई हैड वेरी लेस फ्रेंड्स. अभी किसी ने पूछा था कि कोई फ्रेंड्स नहीं बनाता, एंड प्रोबेबली I was that person who was not very open with people. And this is, I'm talking from 2007 to 9. It's been so many years that I really felt कि कोई मेरा दोस्त ही नहीं है. Yeah. And it's difficult to stay in a city wherein जहाँ पे आपके पेरेंट्स नहीं रहते हैं, जहाँ पे आपके सिबलिंग्स नहीं हैं, एंड यू हैव टू डील ऑल बाय योर ओन. I used to probably call my mother 4 times or 5 times in a day to get counseling sessions from her so that I can feel sane and stable. I almost thought of leaving that school after first year, but I said नहीं, अब कुछ start किया है तो करना है. And I think after 12th, I got introduced to yoga and meditation. And through that from that point, I think my life started taking another turn. Amount, counseling was helping me, talking with friends or family, or there was some there's an auntie who kind of started helping me with dealing with my own emotional issues just on phone. She was like a phone friend. Okay, and for 5 long years I spoke to her. मैंने उनको देखा भी नहीं था. And a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, connected me to her saying that, probably you should speak to her and she'll be able to help you out for your emotional issues. And she was definitely able to help me out. बट बियॉन्ड अ पॉइंट आई थिंक वो डिपेंडेंसी किसी भी एक्सटर्नल चीज पे क्रिएट होती है अपने इमोशनल वेलबींग के लिए. तो आफ्टर अ पॉइंट यू फील लाइक कि व्हाट इज दैट सपोर्ट विद इन मी, जो कि जागृत किया जा सकता है, जो कि अवेकन किया जा सकता है, सो दैट आई कैन इंडिपेंडेंटली हैंडल माई इमोशंस. या, एंड आई थिंक आई हैव डेल्ट विद इट for so long that I still feel that काफी कुछ मैंने I would say I have resolved my challenges, I've resolved my struggles around various things, on self judgment, around different things, on self confidence, on communicating with people, to this day that probably I'm able to speak to any stranger. you know ट्रेन में जब मैं जाती हूँ, बसेस में जब मैं जाती हूँ, या कहीं पर भी जब मैं जाती हूँ, आई एम द प्रॉब्ली द फर्स्ट वन टू स्टार्ट अ कॉन्वर्सेशन विद समवन. और आज जब मैं लोगों को देखती हूँ, when they struggled with starting a conversation with other, they share about how much it is difficult to frame something and to utter it out. I really kind of remember my struggle days. Yeah. And this change, I think I owe it to meditation. I definitely owe it to meditation, because of course counseling did help, of course talking did help, बट जो इंटरनल गाइडेंस और सपोर्ट मिला वो योगा और मेडिटेशन के थ्रू मिला, बिकॉज इट रिजॉल्व अ लॉट ऑफ योर ओन इश्यूज. या जब आप स्टार्टिंग में, जब योगा में ब्रेथ पे हम काम करना स्टार्ट करते हैं, तो बहुत सारी जो चीजें, एनर्जी जैसे स्टक हो जाती है हमारे अंदर. कुछ ऐसा स्टक है, अगर अगर मैं गुस्सा कर रही हूँ तो वो स्टक है, अगर मैं खुद को जज कर रही हूँ किसी चीज पर, वो स्टक है इन फॉर्म ऑफ सर्टेन एनर्जीज. और वो जब क्लियर आउट होता है फ्रॉम द प्रोसेस ऑफ योगा, फ्रॉम द प्रोसेस ऑफ मेडिटेशन, देन you start feeling better all of a sudden, I would say. And ये प्रोसेस कोई ऐसा वो जादू वाला नहीं होता है कि एक तारा टूटा और बस मैं जग गई, ऐसा वाला नहीं होता है. ये एक स्लो, एक स्टेडी प्रोसेस है, एंड इफ यू आर ऑन इट, देन it does have its own reward, has its own rewards in the long run. तो बात कर रहे थे हम इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस के ऊपर, और एक जो ऐसा जैसे घोड़े को ऐसे पहना दिया जाता है और वो एक डायरेक्शन में देखता रहता है और उसको कुछ और दुनिया दिखाई नहीं देती है. और शायद मैं बस उसी ऐसे ही थी, जब मुझे बस अपने चैलेंजेस, इश्यूज दिख रहे थे. और ऐसा जनरली होता भी है कि जब हम किसी चीज से स्ट्रगल कर रहे होते हैं, तो हमें दुनिया में क्या चल रहा है, हमें घंटा फर्क पड़ता है, नहीं फर्क पड़ता है. वाई? बिकॉज यू आर in your own world a lot of the time, and you're thinking कि कौन मेरी हेल्प करे, मैं कैसे इससे निकलूं. इट्स लाइक अ दलदल, एंड यू आर काइंड ऑफ आस्किंग फॉर हेल्प. एंड कोई स्कूल, कोई कॉलेज बहुत ज्यादा कुछ मदद नहीं कर पाता है. तो
Right.
academics में आप बहुत bright हो जाएंगे, but then what about emotional intelligence? And I have been, I mean, this topic is so close to my heart, because it definitely requires an alternative system, alternative communities to come together and kind of talk on these topics at least. Also, first of all, understanding कि ये emotions हैं क्या. हम थिएटर में नव रस की बात करते हैं, नौ रस की बात करते हैं, और डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ इमोशंस की बात करते हैं. थिएटर में अलग अलग तरीके से इमोशंस को आप दर्शाते हैं थ्रू योर एक्सप्रेशन, थ्रू योर बॉडी लैंग्वेज. बट imagine a person really going through all of that. आज मेंटल हेल्थ के ऊपर इतनी बातें होनी स्टार्ट हो गई हैं, एंड आई एम सो हैप्पी दैट सो मेनी पीपल आर कमिंग फॉरवर्ड एंड एटलीस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट इट. सो इट्स नॉट दैट, जैसे संजय भैया भी कह रहे थे कि इट्स नॉट दैट मेडिटेट कर लेंगे सब ठीक हो जाएगा. नो, बट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, मेडिटेशन एटलीस्ट हेल्प्स यू विद दैट अवेयरनेस कि अच्छा ये हो रहा है. सबसे पहले तो वो अवेयरनेस इंपॉर्टेंट है, एंड दैट एक्सेप्टेंस सेकेंडली, कि अच्छा ये हो रहा है एंड आई एम एक्सेप्टिंग माई सेल्फ, आई एम एक्सेप्टिंग दिस पार्ट ऑफ मी, आई एम एक्सेप्टिंग दैट wound in me, I'm really kind of embracing it within my own self. I'm not kind of shooing it away or distracting myself in binge watching or binge eating or any of that sort. क्योंकि हम distractions में बहुत बिलीव करते हैं कि कुछ अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, मूड सही नहीं है, चलो चलो खाने चलते हैं, चलो मूवी देखाते हैं, चलो यहाँ चले जाते हैं, चलो वहां चले जाते हैं. लॉट ऑफ डिस्ट्रैक्शंस टू गो फॉर, बिंज वॉच करते हैं, बट इज इट सॉल्विंग द प्रॉब्लम इज माय रियल क्वेश्चन. मे बी फॉर अ थोड़ा टेम्परेरी कर सकता है, लेकिन लॉन्ग रन में मुझे नहीं लगता कि किसी भी तरीके का इस तरह का डिस्ट्रैक्शन एडिक्शन वुड रियली हेल्प. जब मेरा मन नहीं होता, अंदर से खुश नहीं होती हूँ मैं, तो मुझे शायद कहीं जाने का भी मन नहीं होता है, so the inner world drives the outer world is what I have seen, and emotional intelligence plays a huge part in that. कभी कभी आपको लगता है आप अपनी सराउंडिंग सिचुएशन थोड़ी चेंज करेंगे और आपकी इंटरनल स्थिति बदल जाएगी, जो कि शायद होता है, लेकिन मैंने
जी.
बहुत कम ऑब्जर्व किया है कि वैसा होता है, क्योंकि भीड़ में भी मैंने खुद को अकेला पाया है. भीड़ में भी खुद को अकेला पाया है, और उस मौन में भी शोर को पाया है. तो वो इतना ज्यादा होता है अंदर का, which is like a भयावह दृश्य in front of you, and all of it coming together, and you're just kind of after a point of time it's like, जिसको कहते हैं nervous breakdown. It's an extreme स्थिति when you are not kind of able to manage your emotions. तो आज मैं एक छोटा सा पर्सपेक्टिव यहाँ पे रखना चाहूंगी. Can I share some slides?
Yeah, sure. Most welcome for that.
तो मैंने एक छोटी सी 2-3 स्लाइडर बनाया है, जिसमें कि हम, जो मैंने कहा ना कि इस तरह से हम एक बस केवल अपना मैं मेरी प्रॉब्लम ये वो सारी चीजें मैं ऐसे देख रही हूँ, तो ये भी मेरा पर्सपेक्टिव था कि अगर वो दो लोग साथ में खड़े होके हंस रहे हैं तो वो मेरे बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन वो सच नहीं हो सकता. दैट्स जस्ट द स्टोरी इन माय ओन हेड. तो वो पर्सपेक्टिव्स के ऊपर there are certain examples, and I would like all of you to engage in that with me together, and I'll just share my screen right now. Can you
Before
hear?
that, Kritika, they would like to ask a very small question to you.
Hmm.
As we see that we make several decisions in our life and we are not able to follow them. For example, if I talk about myself and I'm having a crush on someone, or if I want to marry someone, and due to that reason, due to any reason, I'm unable to do so. Whether it may be the second person like someone else, or due to some family issues, that leads a person to move emotionally deep, and it breaks its heart. And
Absolutely.
I find it creates a lot of mess in their life.
It does.
And in that situation, one person is unable to see things about himself or about the second person or anything apart from this to his life. So
Yeah.
what is your view about this?
Last में आपने क्या बोला? I just lost the track.
हाँ, आई वाज सेइंग दैट कि लोग बाग भूल जाते हैं कि अपनी लाइफ के बारे में भी भूल जाते हैं, और
Hmm.
जो कुछ चल रहा है आसपास सब कुछ भूल जाते हैं. दे आर लॉस्ट समवेयर.
Yeah. या
दे गेट.
आप प्यार मोहब्बत इश्क की बातें कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर,
जी जी
और
जी.
वो एक ऐसी स्थिति होती है जहां पर एक मदहोशी वाला जीवन होता है कि हम तो खो गए, बस कहीं खो गए, और अपने आप को भी भूल गए और दुनिया को भी भूल गए, अब तो यही जीवन है. एंड यू नो व्हाट आई मीन, that phase is kind of at one part it is ridiculous to be in because it kills a lot of time. Okay, and on the other, if
Right.
you go through it and if you really kind of come out of it, you come out as a completely different person. बहुत strongly आप उससे निकल के आते हैं. तो मेरा व्यू आप क्या जानना चाहते हैं इस पे, मैं क्या बताऊं?
मैं बस आपसे ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि ऐसी सिचुएशन में जब इंसान चला जाता है और उस फेज से जब निकल कर आता है, तो
Hmm.
जो इंसान गया था और जो निकला, वो द पर्सन आर कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट वंस.
Yeah.
व्हाट शुड वी डू इन आवरसेल्व्स कि वो बंदा जो है वो वैसा ही रहे जैसा वो था, और
नहीं, जैसा वो था
easily that
अगर वो
switch to the person he was before.
No, so okay, so there can be various kind of perspectives to this. एक है कि बिल्कुल तेरे नाम हो गया, ठीक है, वो
जी
मूवी आपने देखी होगी,
जी जी
ठीक
जी.
है, एकदम ही इतनी, मतलब इश्क में इस कदर उन्होंने वो सता गए कि बिल्कुल गया. दूसरा
जी
सिचुएशन यहाँ पे ये होती है कि यू नो अ पर्सन कम्स आउट एज अ मच बेटर पर्सन, अ मोर कॉन्फिडेंट इंडिविजुअल who is kind of conscious and mindful of the kind of choices he's making or she is making in their life. I'm talking about the second example here. uh, तो हम क्या करें, बल्कि मैं तो कह रही हूँ कि चेंज इज कांस्टेंट. चेंज नहीं होगा तो ये कुछ नेचुरल चीज नहीं है, बिकॉज चेंज इज द लॉ ऑफ नेचर. अब वो
जी.
चेंज एक पॉजिटिव तरीके से हो रहा है या और वो गर्त में जा रहा है, उसका अंदाजा लगा पाना थोड़ा मुश्किल है.
राइट.
So now a lot of support system can help this person to come out of it. मैं तो हमेशा एक पॉजिटिव चेंज चाहूंगी किसी के लिए भी. और उसमें जब अगर दिख रहा है आपको कोई आसपास अपने कि वो इस तरह से खोए हुए हैं और समझ में उनको नहीं आ रहा है, तो if one can be patient with them and really listen to them, कभी कभी एक you know एक प्रेजेंस ही काफी होती है उस ऐसे इंसान के लिए जो ऐसे दौर से गुजर रहा होता है. साथ में आप बैठ जाइए बस उनके, अगर वो कुछ बोलना चाह रहे हैं तो सुन लीजिए. बहुत ज्यादा ज्ञान ना दें तो अच्छा है, यू नो, आई मीन मैं कह रही हूँ बिल्कुल भी ज्ञान ना दे तो अच्छा है, क्योंकि ऐसे फेज में कोई इंसान ज्ञान नहीं चाहता है सुनना कि ये कर लो, या कंपेयर करने लोगों अपनी सिचुएशन उस उनकी सिचुएशन को अपनी सिचुएशन के साथ कि यू नो व्हाट, मेरे साथ भी एक बार ऐसा हुआ था, और पता है मैंने तो ऐसे उस चीज को डील किया. So I don't think these things help, you know. तो
राइट.
वो जो सपोर्ट ग्रुप्स हैं, चेकिंग इन ऑन ईच अदर, आई थिंक दिस इज सच अ ब्यूटीफुल प्रैक्टिस. कि आप दोस्त हैं, कॉलेज और स्कूल में तो हम लोग साथ में ऑलमोस्ट एवरी डे मिलते हैं, बट वंस यू गेट इनटू योर वर्क लाइफ तो आपका जो दायरा होता है वो बहुत सीमित होता जाता है. एंड बहुत बार आपके कलीग्स आपके दिल में क्या चल रहा है नहीं जान पाएंगे. आप एक हंसता हुआ नूरानी चेहरा लेकर बस ऑफिस में घुस जाएंगे और उसके बाद फिर वापस आ जाएंगे, एंड देन यू नो nobody will be able to figure it out, and most people don't share about these things because they are in fear कि मेरी प्रोडक्टिविटी या मेरा जॉब ना चल रहा है या वट एवर, यू नो. तो यहाँ पर जो आपके रियल दोस्त होते हैं, जो आपने कमाए हुए होते हैं, या फैमिली सपोर्ट, ये बहुत काम आता है. एंड अगर चेक इन हम बस करें कि अच्छा ये बंदा कुछ डिफरेंट लग रहा है, व्हाट इज इट, व्हाई, अच्छा जो जो लड़की इतना चहकती थी वो अचानक से शांत कैसे हो गई, क्या ये शांति एक एक मेडिटेटिव वाली शांति है या फिर एक शांति में बहुत कोलाहल मचा हुआ है, क्या इसकी जिंदगी में कुछ ऐसा हो रहा है जिसकी वजह से ये चेंज्ड है. सो आई थिंक सेंसिटिविटी फ्रॉम द अदर, द इन्वायरमेंट, द सपोर्ट सिस्टम इज इम्पोर्टेंट. एंड सेकेंडली इफ दैट पर्सन, मतलब ये तो एक एक्सटर्नल हो गया. दूसरा है कि अगर वो पर्सन अगर जब हुआ है थोड़ा आ जाएगा कि उसको कहाँ से सपोर्ट लेने की जरूरत है, कहाँ से हेल्प मांगने की जरूरत है, क्या करने की जरूरत है. एंड इट कैन बी अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ थिंग्स, जैसे कि किसी से बात करना, कुछ ऐसे काम में लग जाना जिसमें आप जो आपकी हॉबी हो, इंटरेस्ट हो, अपनी फिजिकल फिटनेस के ऊपर ध्यान देना. और ये मैंने ट्राई किया एक्चुअली, यू नो, कभी कभी इमोशंस को इमोशनल लेवल पे डील करना जब मुश्किल होता है, तो बहुत बार जब आप फिजिकल फिटनेस के ऊपर ध्यान देना शुरू करते हो, वेदर इट इज रनिंग, जॉगिंग, सम स्ट्रेंथ ट्रेनिंग, वर्कआउट, जुम्बा, तो a lot of things emotionally also get resolved because ये mind body complex है ना, ये हमारा मन और शरीर अलग अलग नहीं है. तो वो बॉडी की जो जो भी आपने चीजें करनी है वो इम्पैक्ट करती हैं आपके माइंड को भी. सो आई थिंक दैट इज अनदर गुड वे टू, थोड़ा सा पुश करना पड़ता है खुद को इनिशियली, क्योंकि आप तो उठना ही नहीं चाहते हो, आप तो दूसरा दिन ही जैसे एक और दिन आ गया, बिकॉज इट फील्स सो हैवी एंड आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड दैट. Yeah. Then other
राइट.
thing, of course, meditation does help. You know, the heartfulness practice of cleaning helps a lot. So all of these things, I think, together can help a person come out of certain situations like these.
Right. Thank you very much, Kritika Di. Would like to welcome with your slide or presentation what you have prepared for our
Oh yeah, so
audience.
I would like people to participate, and I hope I can see their chats on the
Yeah,
chat box, so you can probably
yeah,
share
sure.
with me. यहाँ पे मैं कुछ pictures, कुछ images दिखा रही हूँ perspectives के ऊपर. Basically, what I am drawing is something which I'll share later. Okay, so I'm sharing this. Are you able to see Anshuman?
No, not yet.
आपको नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है?
नहीं नहीं आपने शायद शेयर पर क्लिक करके स्टार्ट नहीं किया होगा.
How do I? What are you able to see right now?
Nothing. You have not shared anything yet.
So how do I share? I don't know.
There must be an
Okay.
option down somewhere of share. The share
All
icon
right,
must be
all
there.
right, all right, all right. Are you able to see now?
Yeah, I am adding it to
Okay.
screen.
So I would like the audience to kind of let me know on the chat box कि उन्हें क्या दिखाई दे रहा है, and अंशुमन probably मुझे पढ़कर बता सकते हैं.
Sure, I'll be highlighting the chats, guys. Please be ready with your keyboards and start commenting what you're able to see. Would
Yeah,
like to
क्या
start
दिख रहा
from
है
my
आपको?
side.
Yeah.
There's a girl in the picture.
Okay. What kind of girl?
Guys, yeah,
Nice.
Jagrup Sidhu is saying it's a pic.
It's a pig.
Okay.
Oh,
Pic,
pig.
pic, PIC, pic. Yeah.
No, of course it's a picture, but क्या दिखाई दे रहा है? एक लड़की दिखाई दे रही है आपको, अंशुमन आपने कहा.
जी जी.
तो लड़की कितने साल की दिखाई दे रही है?
साल तो नहीं पता चल रहा.
No, but like a
She's a young girl.
teenager,
She's a young girl. Yeah,
young
she's
girl,
a
right?
teenager girl. She's a young.
Right,
She's young.
right, right. और किसी को और क्या-क्या दिखाई दे रहा है? Can somebody type on the chat?
Guys, yeah. Monica Chabur is typing. She's just mentioned girl, her back and hair.
Right, right. Okay, okay. What else?
Others, please.
जल्दी-जल्दी
Old
type करेंगे
lady,
because I
old
have more
lady,
images.
old lady, old
Oh,
lady.
first time an old lady has come. Great, Umesh. Anybody
Yeah, sure.
else?
Others, please. Okay, we have 28 viewers and only 3 have commented yet.
Exactly. बाकी किसी को कुछ नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है क्या? I mean, या फिर वो देख ही नहीं रहे हैं. And still you are kind of viewing, so I am surprised.
Guys, please comment. Let's have your comments, guys. Young girl. Jagrup Sidhu is saying young
Okay.
girl.
Okay, so mostly you are seeing a young girl, as you can see over here. A
Boys
young
usually watch
girl.
young girls.
Oh, oh, oh. तो ये दिख रहा होगा, ये यंग गर्ल का फेस है, ये उसने टोपी पहनी है और इसके बाल हैं और इसने कुछ नेकलेस पहना हुआ है और ये कपड़े पहने हुए हैं, तो एक यंग गर्ल है, राइट? किसी ने बीच में ओल्ड वुमन भी बोला था, तो बहुत लोगों
Yeah.
को वो ओल्ड वुमन नहीं दिखाई दे रही है, और जिन्होंने बोला था, आई वुड से congratulations, you were able to see that old woman also. और ये देखिए, ये है उस ओल्ड वुमन की नाक, ये है उनका मुंह, ये है उनकी आंखें. ओके, अंशुमन, are you able to see that?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, and now you are able to see the old woman also. So these are two pictures and camouflaged kind of in a same picture. Young woman and an old woman. Okay, young girl and an old woman. I'll I'll switch the slide. I mean, you can kind of see this. It's like उसकी तरफ से उसको 9 दिखाई दे रहा है and इस वाले person की तरफ से इसको 6 दिखाई दे रहा है, right?
Six,
And
six.
both are correct, right? Both are correct.
Yeah.
और जिन्होंने यंग गर्ल बोला, ओल्ड वुमन बोला, दोनों ही करेक्ट थे, कोई भी गलत नहीं था, अपने अपने पर्सपेक्टिव से दोनों सही थे. अब ये इमेज बताइए क्या दिखाई दे रहा है, क्विकली.
Okay, so people are commenting a bit late. No issues. We have another picture now.
Yes, we have another picture, a brand new picture. इसमें क्या दिखाई दे रहा है अंशुमन आपको?
I'm able to see a monkey just hanging over a
हाँ,
tree.
wow, yes, there is a monkey. Who else is able to see what? और सबको क्या क्या दिखाई दे रहा है?
Monkey. Jagrup Sidhu is able to see a monkey.
Okay, all right. और कुछ?
Roots of a tree.
Roots of a tree. Okay.
Monkey on a branch.
Monkey,
Umesh
monkey
Rao.
दिखाई दे रहा है. और क्या दिखाई दे रहा है?
I find just
Quick,
three,
quick,
four
quick.
people are being active on chats. Rest are
Yeah,
typing bit
absolutely.
late.
आरती
When
को
we
क्या
switch to
दिखाई
the
दे रहा
third
है?
picture,
We'll switch absolutely. This is the third
the
only.
hat.
Yeah,
She's saying the hat.
the hat. यहाँ पे hat तो नहीं है. But can
Okay, I
you
find
see?
she's commenting about the last picture.
Yeah. Can you see there is a tiger here? Anshuman, can you see there's a tiger here?
I'm trying to see.
This is the mouth of the tiger, like the head of the monkey is like the mouth of the tiger, and these are its paws.
Oh,
Yeah, can you see
yes,
that?
yes, it is. Yes, yes,
Yes,
I can, I can,
yeah.
I
How
can.
many of you are
Yes.
able to see tiger? Type in yes in the comment box. अभी अभी जो मैंने टाइगर दिखाया वो कितने लोगों को दिख रहा है? Type in yes if you can see it. The tiger. जैसा ऐसा लग रहा है मंकी का हेड टाइगर के मुंह में है ना?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So
Monica Chabra is typing yes. Okay.
yeah, so this is another way to look at it, and both answers were correct, tiger and the monkey. And like here, this man is seeing 7 and this man is saying 5, and both of them are correct because they are looking at from their own perspectives. यहाँ पे इस इमेज में जैसे दिखाई दे रहा है कि ये मैन एक ट्री के पास खड़ा होके बोट बोट चिल्ला रहा है बोट, और यहाँ पे जो बोट है ये बोल रहा है लैंड, धरती, जमीन, और इसको बोट चाहिए. So basically both are kind of right in their own needs of asking for certain things. Okay, तो ये सब मैंने आपको
Right.
क्यों दिखाया? There was a emotional intelligence expert Daniel Goleman, उन्होंने बहुत काम किया इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस पे. लिखा कि योर इमोशनल रिएक्शन डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ यू व्यू थिंग्स, कैसे हम चीजों को देखते हैं. हाउ वी फ्रेम सिचुएशंस में हेल्प अस टू बेटर मैनेज आवर रिस्पॉन्सेस. तो जैसे मैं कह रही थी ना कि एक सीधी सिधाई वाली स्थिति में हम चलते हैं कि बस ये है और यही है, उसको थोड़ा सा जब हम वाइडन करते हैं कि अच्छा ये है बट ये मेरा पर्सपेक्टिव है केवल, सामने वाला व्यक्ति उस चीज को कैसे देख रहा है वो मुझे नहीं पता. एंड अभी मैं
Right.
अंशुमन को एक अंधेरे में देख रही हूँ. अंशुमन, यू हैव लाइट्स?
Yeah, yeah, I do have. I'm extremely sorry for that. Light is
या
fluctuating here due to some
ओके.
reasons. I
सो
don't know why.
बेसिकली या सो यू नो डिफरेंट हाउ लुकिंग एट डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव कि अच्छा मेरा ये है. अंशुमन को अगर यंग गर्ल दिखाई दे रही है, ओल्ड वुमन नहीं दिखाई दे रही है तो कोई बात नहीं, मुझे कुछ और दिखाई दे रहा है तो कोई बात नहीं. एंड वी बोथ आर करेक्ट इन आवर ओन वेज. And can we learn to respect each other's viewpoints or perspectives, because nobody is wrong in either case. Okay, and there is no
Right.
question of right or wrong. और इसी से ही बहुत सारी सिचुएशन सॉल्व होने लगती हैं. एक्सेप्शनली गुड लीडर्स, यहाँ पे लीडरशिप की बात हो रही है. Exceptionally good leaders have this capacity, this power to look at the same situation with a lot of perspectives. Okay, and
Right.
that creates all the difference in your emotional being. मैं यहाँ पे बैठ के मैंने कुछ अज्यूम कर लिया किसी के बारे में. अच्छा, मैंने मैसेज किया, उनका रिप्लाई नहीं आया, और मैं बुरा मान के बैठ गई कि वो तो रिप्लाई नहीं कर, राइट? अब उस व्यक्ति के जीवन में उस समय क्या चल रहा है, कौन सी इमरजेंसी है, किस सिचुएशन में है, वो उसका अंदाजा ही नहीं है मुझे. और जब मैं तो यहाँ पे एकदम गुस्से में हूँ, अरे उसने मेरा रिप्लाई ही नहीं किया, मैं तो हमेशा करती हूँ. एंड सामने वाला व्यक्ति किसी और ही सिचुएशन में फंसा है. तो जब हम बात करते हैं एक दूसरे से तब पता चलता है, एंड यू बोथ फील लाइक ओ डैम. ओके, so I think this also, looking at things from different perspectives, also helps you to kind of become more emotionally intelligent. Okay, I found this very, very beautiful. And I try now at least, looking at things from different perspectives, from the other's perspectives, and it really helps you in building good, healthy relationships with others. So yeah, I think if we can kind of take that away from here, this will be kind of great.
Right. So,
Hello, Dr. Rahul has come.
Dr. Rahul, Pranam, welcome. Your mic is mute, I find. Yeah.
Evening, brother. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
you're perfectly audible. So, Kritika Di, as we have a bunch of questions for you, and I don't find we are having that much of time as you're also scheduled to go somewhere at 6:30. So, would like to ask a very simple question to you. As you are an IIT Delhi alumna, so you must have prepared for a competitive exam. So, how was your journey during that period? Cause preparing for any of the competitive exams in India, especially when you are hailing from a state of Uttar Pradesh, so it gets a bit difficult cause you get emotionally weak to face challenges while preparing for any exam or while just planning to pursue your dreams.
Yeah,
So
it's not about UP, I guess. It's not about UP,
it's
but
all over
in
India.
general, I mean, I was kind of as I discussed or shared my story. I feel yes. I mean, there were difficulties. I couldn't. By the way, I did my masters from IIT and I did my bachelor's from a government college, VIT Jhansi from UP. And I think twice writing the JEE attempts, I couldn't clear it because I was so emotionally weak, and that impacted all my preparation. Okay, but this time when I was in the bachelor, the doing BTech from this college, उस समय तक situations बदल चुकी थी. उस समय I had ब्रह्मास्त्र, I had tools to manage myself. तो उस समय different phase था. And I would say that more than kind of mugging up things or kind of practicing a lot, I think I really focused on meditation, and that became a part and parcel of my life to such an extent that जैसे कहते हैं ना, meditation makes your mind sharper. तो वो सेम चीज जो 2 घंटे में समझ आती है वो आप 1 घंटे में भी समझ सकते हो. So it was, जैसे
Right.
संजय भैया भी कह रहे थे, it's not about managing something outside but managing yourself. So I was in a better position to manage myself and grasp the same thing in a much better ways, staying calm and cool, because no matter हम अपने अंदर information download करके जाते हैं and at the time of exams you just blank out, and that does
Right.
not help. So the thing is that जो भी पढ़ा है वो बिल्कुल assimilate हो गया है मेरे अंदर. मैं अपने आप को ये बताती थी, and that I just know everything. There is, I mean, all the knowledge is there within myself and I can access it from anywhere. Okay, this is basically some affirmations with the power of positive affirmations, with the power of meditation. I think it's really helped in clearing the gate exam.
Right. Kritikadi, as you are working in a lot many fields, you are associated with a lot many NGOs and almost every part of life you are just joined with. So tell us about some time when you got emotionally weak due to any reason, and it had an impact on your mood and your work, whether it may be from a positive or negative aspect.
जब दिल टूटता है तब ये सब होता है दोस्त.
Ji.
And of course, as I mentioned earlier, कि ये जब भी, I mean, ये वाले हार्ट ब्रेक्स वाले फेजेस होते हैं तो ये आपको एकदम चूर चूर करके रख देता है, and then you have to pick your pieces and build yourself again so that you can really look into your own self. बल्कि कल हम मैंने एक जगह पे पोइट्री रिसाइट करी थी, याद करो उन्हें तब तक, ये जो हम यादों में खोए रहते हैं, जो आप अभी कह रहे थे कि कोई एकदम खोया हुआ है, यादों में खोया हुआ है किसी और की. तो वो एक पॉइंट आता है, टिपिंग पॉइंट, थ्रेशोल्ड आता है जहां पर यू नो एक समय तक वो रहता है वेर यू आर लॉस्ट, एंड इट्स गुड टू बी लॉस्ट इफ इट्स इन द राइट डायरेक्शन. एंड देन कुछ आपको बोल रहा होता है अंदर से कि भाई खुद को तो याद कर लो, खुद को तो याद कर लो, कहाँ कहाँ कौन भूल गए, आपका भी कुछ पर्पस है, मीनिंग है, जिंदगी मिली है तो केवल ये रोने गाने के लिए नहीं मिली है, दिल तोड़ने के लिए नहीं. इट्स ऑल अ प्रोसेस, एंड I'm grateful to all those experiences, by the way, which helped you break your heart, but then you emerge more stronger. कहते हैं ना, वो रूमी
Right.
ने कहा था एक कोट में कि वो लाइट एंटर करती है जहां पर क्रैक होता है. तो वो क्रैक से जब लाइट एंटर करती है आपके दिल में, तो everything, I think you just kind of you find a very good friend within you. एंड वही मैंने आपको स्टार्टिंग में भी बोला था कि ऐसा नहीं कि अब चैलेंजेस आते नहीं है और मैं तो बस कुछ I've just become so perfect at all of these things. No, but I have this brahmastra of practice, of meditation, of silence, which really helps me come back to my inner guide, to my inner core, again and again, again and again, again and again. एंड माई आर्ट फॉर्म, जैसे मैं जब लिखती हूँ पोइट्री या गाने, तो उसमें भी मुझे बहुत हीलिंग मिलती है. तो आई वुड से जो एक आर्ट आपके अंदर छुपी, अगर आप उसको एक्सेस कर पाते हैं, सो इट रियली इज अ वेरी इंटेलिजेंट वे टू डायरेक्ट those emotions, those energies into something very, very creative. So I'm very thankful to all of those experiences because they made me more creative and a lot of good work has happened, a lot of good creations have happened.
Right. So there we have a comment for you, Kritikadi. I hope you are able to see it on your screen.
Yeah.
Umesh Rauji is saying, hello Kritika, I have attended your HFN session online daily by different instructors. Very well conducted.
Thank you, Meshi.
So Kritika, the one more question and we'll end with the discussion. I hope
Sure.
you are getting a bit late and I'm extremely sorry for that.
I think you are also getting late.
No, we
Yeah.
have not much of time. We have planned the
Oh,
session till late.
really? Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
So the question is, tell us about a time when you had to neutralize a stressful situation, whether it may be in a professional environment or in a personal or personal environment. And being a youth, please share your experience regarding this.
मेरे बाल सफेद हो रहे हैं, पता नहीं मैं यूथ हूँ या नहीं हूँ अभी. पर you know what, cleaning is a practice offered by Heartfulness, and it has really helped me all in all of these experiences जो आप कह रहे हो, to neutralize, क्योंकि मैं cleaning को neutralize से बहुत relate कर पाती हूँ, क्योंकि कुछ हुआ, किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया और अचानक से हर्ट हुआ, अचानक से कुछ हो गया. So even 5 minutes or 10 minutes of cleaning works wonders. So I think whether I am in bus, I'm in train, I'm in cab, I'm in anywhere, I can just close my eyes and kind of clean myself from within. And you can find those who are new to this practice. They can find more on heartfulness.org or Heart in Tune app. But it just kind of वो जो भार होता है ना, जो वेट होता है इमोशंस का, वो एकदम से हटा देता है. And it works
Right.
like wonders, I would say that. I mean, it's definitely like a magic pill if you kind of have, if you have really kind of done it अच्छे से.
Ji.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kritika Di, for sharing all your experiences with our audience, with our delegates. And we are very happy to have you with us.
किसी का कोई
Guys,
सवाल अगर हो ऑडियंस में तो.
I am inviting the questions. If we have any questions from the delegates, you are interested to ask Kritika Di. Okay, I find she has covered almost every part and she is very clear with what she said.
Whatever.
People are too late to type.
It's fine.
Okay. If okay, Jagrup Sidhu is saying no questions.
Great, thank you. All answers lie within you, even if you have a
Uh,
question.
Thank you, ma'am. He is sharing. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, Jagrup, for commenting at least. Others, if we have any questions from Kritika Di, you are open to ask your questions.
आज संडे इवनिंग है, किसको क्या सवाल होगा, छोड़ दो अब.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kritika Di,
Thank
for joining
you.
us. It was very
Thank
nice to
you.
have you with us. And
Same here, same here. Thank you for inviting, and yeah, good evening. Have a nice evening ahead. Yeah.
thank you very much. This one is for all our delegates. You guys are going to have a good evening this time.
Yes, to everyone. Yeah. Bye. Take care. And
Thank you,
yeah,
Di. Thank you very much.
thank you.
So, guys, next in the sequence, we have our very special guest, Dr. Rahul Mehrotra, sir, with us. And I am pleased to have you, sir, with us in this national virtual conference on EQ, emotional quotient, a concept for heartful neuro leadership. Would like to inform all our dear delegates that sir is MBBS, MD in medicine, and then DNB in cardiology. And Sir is currently serving as the head and dean in the Department of Cardiology, I find. Apart from that, for a very formal introduction of Dr. Rahul Mehrotra, sir, sir is the director and head of non-invasive cardiology at Max Super Specialty Hospital, Saket, New Delhi. Apart from that, Dr. Rahul Mehrotra is a practicing cardiologist. He is the director and head of non invasive cardiology, as I already mentioned. He holds an MD degree in medicine and DNB in cardiology. He has published more than 100 articles in national and international journals and chapters in textbooks on topics ranging from clinical cardiology, non invasive cardiology, and pulmonary hypertension. He has been keenly interested in exploring the scientific basis of spiritual practices, particularly on their impact on our physiology and wellness. He has thus initiated and conducted several research projects on these lines. One of his path-breaking research study on exploring the impact of heartfulness practices on the heart got much acclaim in the scientific as well as spiritual circles. This study, first of its kind from India, done in collaboration with IIT Delhi, won the first prize for Best Research Paper in a World Symposium. Apart from being an avid reader, researcher, and clinician, he is passionate about the world of nature. He is an avid bird watcher and now about urban farmer. A prolific speaker, he is regularly invited to national and international forums to give talks on the scientific basis of spirituality. We are overwhelmed to have you, sir, with us, and we extend a warm welcome to you.
Thank you for the kind
Before,
invitation.
thank you, sir. Before I move ahead, I want our delegates to be very active because this session is gonna be the last session of this virtual conference and a very special one, as Sir will be speaking about science and spirituality. So, this is something very special we have with us, and this was the surprise gift we were talking about yesterday. So, over to you, Rahul, sir.
Am I allowed to share my screen?
Yeah, sure, sir. You are welcome with your screen. You must be having a share option down somewhere.
Yes. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, your screen is visible, sir. You may continue with your slide, please.
My slides are visible.
Yeah, yes, sir. Science and Spirituality by Dr. Rahul Mehrotra.
So good evening, dear colleagues. I believe all of us are young ones who are joining us today for the session. If not young in terms of chronological age, we're always young in terms of our heart age, as we like to say. It's not the color of the hair, as Kritika was pointing out. It's the spirit in your heart which makes you young. So I believe all of us are young. And I've chosen this topic for youth because I belong to science stream, and I started my practice in heartfulness system soon after I ended my graduation, that is MBBS. And it is very surprising still to many people, like why, being a student of science, I delved into something as abstract as spirituality. Because very commonly we associate spiritual practices and things related to spirituality are something that are not scientifically proven, not effective, and to be done in our gray years of life, like we've done with our enjoyment, done with our studies, done with our earning period. And then probably in the Vanprastha ashram, say 75 plus, if we last till that time, go into this stream and explore what lies ahead in terms of afterlife and does God exist and things like that. So my problem started because I was a student of biology. If you are a sincere student of science, and if you are, I believe that if you are a thinking person, you will question everything that is happening around you. And that is what we call the scientific temper. I unfortunately had this scientific itch, as they say, since early days. And I used to question my parents about God. Uh, Very simply, I'll say, like my mother was a science teacher. She taught physics, chemistry, yet a very religious person, worshipping God, going to temples. So I would often ask her, where is Lord Vishnu in the space? Because we have launched so many satellites, we have explored the limits of space, and we've not found Lord Vishnu reclining in space. How does he breathe in space? So it was like not in space, it's in Sheer Sagar. So where is Sheer Sagar? Is it the Pacific Ocean or is it the Atlantic Ocean, or which ocean is that? And why are we not taught about this in our school syllabus? Simple things like that. Watching Ramayana serial, watching Mahabharata serial, uh, we would question that how would a person living in forest shave, for example, because they were shown as clean shaven personalities, not intending to hurt any sentiments, but these came straight from the heart, a questioning mind. And similarly, the concepts of good and bad, paap or punya, which we are often told, ऐसा मत करो ये पाप है. So somebody is taking account of our good deeds and bad deeds. And yes, I was told there is a deity given that duty to keep account of every wrong that a person does in your secrecy of your room or in the secrecy of your mobiles, wherever you are visiting, whatever you are watching, whatever you are doing is being watched and is being recorded in terms of either good or bad. And then you will be accountable for that. Is it possible? So that was my question. So these nagging questions really bothered me, took away the efforts. But then you used to read in your Hindi textbooks, in your Sanskrit textbooks, couplets from Kabir Das ji, Guru Nanak Dev, that used to strike to your heart and make you think and feel much more. And it was not that this is all fantasy that they were talking about. They had felt something, they had experienced something, and because of that they had written those things, and reading those things you were impacted. And there were couplets which have stayed with you, with me at least, for many many years. They were very hard hitting, very practical, particularly from Kabir Das ji, and which gave me a lot of insight into reality of life. Besides, when we reached college life, we saw many people who are not so good in studies, not so sincere. The worldly life is not as clear, and everything doesn't travel in straight line when you step out of your college and see the world around you. Absolute inept people in my class who never were sincere in their studies suddenly became big shots because there were enterprises ready for them, hospitals by their parents, ready for them to be run, and they were suddenly rolling in millions. So these questions of good and bad, what is righteousness, why some people have wonderful destiny, while some people are born with struggles. We used to see this in our hospital practice, children being born with heart defects, major anomalies. And one thing medicine taught me was that it was gratitude. At least we were born with a completely intact body and an intact mind, because there is an n number of diseases that can happen before we are born, n number of defects that can occur in the body. We may have one ear missing, a small defect inside the body. Kidney may be abnormal in shape or size or location. A liver may not form completely. There may be holes in your heart. The connections in your heart may not go as planned, and anything could have gone wrong. So one thing was clear, that there is something going on. There is some order to all this, and it is not just utter chaos or utter matter of chance that we are born the way we are. We are born in the families that we are born with. Some are born poor, some are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. So there was this larger picture about destiny. Is there somebody governing all this? Is there a governor keeping track of all the goods and bads that every person does? And if yes, then why are bad people not being punished? Why is bad allowed to happen, for example? Why not prevent it? Why doesn't God prevent World War from happening, or nuclear holocaust, or a COVID from coming? What is all this, and why all this is going on? So all this was answered to quite an extent. My quest still continues by spirituality, and that's why I continued into this field. So starting with my own experience, and now so many years later, I'm very happy that we are now talking about science and spirituality, because back then I was embarrassed to tell anybody that I also do meditation, because the simple query was, यार कुछ गड़बड़ है क्या, कोई प्रॉब्लम चल रही है लाइफ में कि ये आंख बंद करके आप ध्यान व्यान कर रहे हो. This is the time to enjoy, eat, drink, make merry. Why are you into all these practices? But one found lot of solace, lot of peace, experiences that only I know I went through, which were their own proofs, which led me continue into this field. And now I'm very happy that the world is now waking up to the science behind spirituality, and it is not something completely unscientific. We are kind of making bridges between science and spirituality now, and it is mostly a scientific endeavor now. And for the youth, I encourage to have a scientific temper. So here is a quote from a well-renowned scientist, Nikolai Tesla. Like all great people, the history we are taught is not very clear. We are very few of us will be aware of this person. A bit of a controversial personality, but a free thinking, freewheeling, very, very open mind, far, far ahead of his times. A great physicist who gave us the technology which is now the backbone of mobile technology, the radars and the remote technology. Nikolai Tesla. He was also a very spiritual person and talked a lot about God, spirituality, apart from being a physicist. And he had predicted that the age of religion and politics was over, and the future will belong to science and spirituality. So he had predicted based on it here, not as astrologer, but as what he could foresee going forward will happen. So this was a quote from a man of science, purely known as a man of science. And I'll move on to a man of ochre robes, Swami Vivekananda. We all identify him as a spiritual leader, as a monk who roamed about the world and propagated Hinduism in its true colors, brought a lot of pride to the country. And we think that he was a monk, he was a spiritual leader who wore saffron clothes. He may not have been scientific. So, as a youth, I think I will encourage all of us to pick up any book of Swamiji. Particularly, what I have been very inspired with is the lectures from Colombo to Almora. And if you appreciate any author of current era in terms of command over English language, if you appreciate any person with his in-depth knowledge about scriptures, who can quote left, right, and center, pick up any shloka from Vedas, from Upanishads, from the Gita, and verbatim quote it, you would be surprised that this was not just a monk. He would have been hailed as a genius even now. Command over language, command over scripture, his widespread knowledge, and he had a very, very scientific temper. Remember, he went about asking everybody till he met his guru, Swami Paramhans, have you seen God? Can you show me God? Because he was not convinced just by telling God is like that, God is right there in the scriptures, this, that. He did not rest till he got the experience himself. And that is what we all should be doing. And he encouraged a scientific temper. He is mentioned again and again that do not accept anything till you are convinced. Examine everything thoroughly. Examine everything that you are told, taught, asked to do from every aspect. Question it. Question your teachers, question your superiors, even parents. Why? What is the reason behind it? Question it from a logical mind. Try to experience it. And only when you are convinced, accept it. He was very much a man of science. So, Nikolai Tesla, man of science, talking about spirituality, telling the future to belong to spirituality, while Swami Vivekananda, whom we consider a man of spirituality, being having a scientific temper. So what I'm trying to do is break down these barriers of science and spirituality that we have. That this is a scientific person, this is a spiritual person, and the two don't meet. Doesn't happen like that. We all should have a scientific temper. And there is a story which goes that the first patent from our country, from Dr. J.C. Bose, which was to be filed from our country, was encouraged by Swami Vivekananda, because Dr. Bose was not very keen on filing this patent, but it was Swamiji, it is said, who encouraged him to file patent because he believed that this should be done in the larger interest. And it is said that he even carried the patent application to the US and helped it be filed. So this is the kind of temper we should have, an open mind that we should have, and encourage reading. And remember, he died at an age which I have at least passed. And whenever I read him, it is like, it is jaw dropping at the amount of information he had gathered at that age and the amount of work he had managed to do in that small age before he passed away. And he was also a very good sports person and encouraged youth to indulge in a lot of sports to have a fit body and, of course, a fit mind. So, yes, let us drop these boundaries that we are making in terms of science and spirituality, because if we have a scientific temper, science encompasses everything from right inside what happens inside the nano areas, the inside the nucleus, inside the atoms, the particles, the nanoparticles, to the outer space, to the suprastellar bodies, the huge planets. Science governs everything from what happens inside our body, inside our minds, inside the space, everything. Because science is not just a stream, it is a temper, it is an attitude that we should have. Questioning everything, explaining everything, experiencing, and taking it forward only having proved something beyond doubt. That is what is a scientific temper and a scientific enterprise. So, coming to the topic meditation and its effect on body, being a doctor, I will not be talking about physics and science. I'll be talking about medicine and science, and medical science and spirituality, how they are coming together. Largely, meditation, as I mentioned, world over is being explored for its remarkable benefits it can have on keeping our minds and body healthy. Mind is the greatest tool that we have. What separates an IITN, which we just heard, from another person is the sharpness of the mind, the agility of the mind, the control over the mind that we all have. And as a medical student, as a student of physiology, I was told in very first year of my medical school that we end up using only 8 to 10% of our mental ability, all of us. So 92% of our brain, approximately 90%, is lying waste. We die without exploring this mental capacity that we all have. And this is something which has always motivated me, which has always made me restless. If I could do something, I could do some practices, if I could find some Sri Yantra or some focusing apparatus which will help me regulate this very, very powerful machine that I have in the human frame. The greatest invention have been made by this human mind that we have. And if we can harness this power to our capacities, best of capacities, there is no end to each one of us which we can go. And most of us are letting it go waste because we are having no regulation over our mind. And meditation has come up as a very, very powerful tool, and in fact, the only tool which can regulate the mind. And these fields of neuroplasticity is now coming up, which has shown that by different practices, including meditation, we can improve our mental capacities in terms of memory, cognition, perception, decision making abilities, get rid of bad habits. Getting up early in the morning has been a habit I've been struggling since my medical school days, but fortunately now it is only possible that I'm having some control over my waking and sleeping hours. My mind is started to listen to me and obey me. Similarly, I find patients who are struggling with their habits like smoking, alcohol. They want to get rid of these habits, but they are unable to. And meditation is coming up as a wonderful tool, helping people get rid of bad habits and inculcate positive habits. Similarly, about feelings and emotions, having intelligent emotional quotients, like it is the topic of these webinars now, we are beginning to identify the value of EQ rather than just intelligence in terms of IQ. Similarly, there have been studies on the heart, wonderful studies about the physical heart as well as the esoteric heart with a question mark, heart as the seat of feelings and emotions, because conventional science and biology still teaches that heart is concerned only with pumping blood to the body, has no other role. But now we are learning that heart has feelings and emotion, and this role of the brain is partly being now shifted to this role of the heart. Feelings and emotion are governed by the heart, not just of the brain. And more we are integrating the heart and mind in biology, because we are taught that these are separate organs, but brain is an organ while mind is not an organ anywhere in the body. Mind is an abstract concept. So heart mind is now being looked at as an energy field in the body, something which is labeled as subtle body or the astral body or the sukshma sharir in the spiritual literature. Besides, we have a lot of researches happening in terms of epigenetics. What can meditation do to override our genetic pattern that we are born with? So it is not very hopeless situation now as it was with me when I first heard about genetics, and I was told that what I have is what I have inherited from my parents. I cannot change the color of my skin. I cannot become a Gora person. I cannot have golden hair any longer. I cannot become an intelligent person because my intelligence depends on what I have inherited from my parents. But it is not so much limited by our genes. We are now understanding and very nicely that we can override our genes to quite an extent and change, if not physical traits like our skin, color of our eyes, or color of our hair, but lots of things can be changed, particularly related to our behaviors, our habits, our attitudes, our intelligence, particularly. Similarly, meditation is having an impact on our hormonal makeup, body metabolic rate, and oxygen consumption, which we all learned very importantly during the COVID times. Very quickly, going to the concept of my specialty, which is cardiology, and one of the commonest killers of our time, which is heart attack. Let me show you this small video which tells us how heart attack happens. Like all muscles in your body, so your even if you are a student of not of a biology, we all have a heart, and I think we all should be aware of what this wonderful organ is doing. Plaque can build up in the coronary arteries. So these blockages form in the body, in the arteries of the heart. And one fine day, because of any reason, any stress, any tension that we acutely suffer from, this clot formation occurs and a part of the heart muscle dies. And with it, one third of the people will die then and there, while lucky ones amongst us will survive with a heart attack, and we will be given lots of treatments after that. Very expensive, very cumbersome, and life limiting once we've had a heart attack. And it is the commonest cause of death all over the world, including our country. And why does heart attack occur, and why are they occurring very commonly and more commonly nowadays as in our grandfathers and in our parents' generation? Many factors. Most importantly, we've learned that heart attack occurs due to 9 identifiable risk factors, and we have either one or many of these. But the good news is that 2 of these are non-modifiable. Age, as we advance in age, chances of getting heart attack increase, and a family history of coronary artery disease. If you have a strong family history, you're likely to have heart attacks, much more chances as compared to people who don't have a family. But 7 out of these 9 risk factors are modifiable. Physical inactivity, emotional stress, cigarette smoking, or tobacco in any form, diabetes, overweight, obesity, hypertension, high blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol. All of these can be prevented by a healthy, regulated, controlled lifestyle. And if not, then treated by very effective approaches, including lifestyle and drugs, like psychosocial stress, smoking, physical activity, our eating behavior, not controlling our weight, is all related to our lifestyle. We don't need any drugs for this. What we require is only control over our eating and drinking habits. So, large extent, we can prevent diabetes and blood pressure also. And these are the only situations for which we need drugs, if not controlled: diabetes, blood pressure, and abnormal cholesterol. But even then, before drugs, we will offer you a healthy lifestyle for even these factors. So, a largely preventable disease because of our faulty lifestyle, killing the largest chunk of humanity. So, doesn't sound very intelligent, right? We claim ourselves to be a very smart generation. We think we are very intelligent because we are moving around with smart watches. But what about our smart lives? Are we living our lives smartly? We have very smart mobile phones, we have smart watches, our clothes are very up to the mark nowadays. No more loose clothes or out of fashion clothes, non fitting clothes, borrowed from cousins, very appropriately dressed. But look at the mess we've created in our lives, because these 70% of humanity is dying today because of man made diseases. Not virus, not bacteria, not COVID, not tuberculosis. It is non communicable disease, which is heart disease number one, cancers, liver disease, lung disease, and diabetes. Largely preventable. So, what can we do about it? There are lots of wonderful scientific research which has happened in the last 50 years, which keeps us very busy, because lots many patients are falling into hospitals nowadays. Gone are the days where hospitals were vacant, a whole rush entire week. We have very effective remedies related to proving the benefits of exercise on heart health, wonderful drugs which are life saving. We have lots of studies about the right diet that we should have. We have technologically very advanced stents which have been designed, which we can place in your artery and remove the blockages, and bypass surgeries which are now becoming robotically done surgeries also. But as I mentioned earlier, it is the human mind which is the biggest problem, an unregulated mind which is the biggest problem in the world which we are grappling with. We have discovered these four very powerful drugs that are known to prevent a heart attack or a stroke, which is a life threatening event. So we did a survey. This is the one of the top journals in the world. In 2011, it did a survey across the world. More than 20,000 people were studied, and they looked at the use of these four drugs in one of the most educated populations of the world, high income countries: the USA's, the European countries, Japanese, low middle income countries, upper middle income, and very low income countries, where some of Southeast Asia belongs, some of African countries belong. And we divided the population in terms of urban and rural areas. And we looked at the use of these proven four drugs to be prescribed to every patient of a heart attack or stroke for preventing future events. But at the end of 4 to 5 years, hardly 50% of the people were taking these drugs, even in the most high income countries, and less than 10% people were taking these drugs in low income countries. Urban population was slightly better off as compared to the rural people because they would not understand. But when we prescribe these drugs, we always ask you and emphasize the value of essential drugs never to be stopped. They will continue for life, but we stop them. The most educated society people stop these approaches. So, what are we doing, wasting our time in science, inventing drugs at the cost of billions of dollars when patients are not going to take those drugs? Patients don't believe in continuously taking those drugs. Why? Because of several reasons. One of them was cost. In our country, particularly, we have to buy drugs from our pockets. But we looked at this even in countries where drugs were provided free of cost by the government, healthcare systems, patients stopped taking these drugs. It's in the mind. We don't want to continuously take drugs. We are cannot follow a habit for a long time. Something in the mind is not so disciplined, so regulated, that we continue following a habit for a long period of time, even when it is for our own good. So this is what it proves, that it is not inventing wonderful drugs or technologies that are going to save the planet, save our lives. We are looking at a new paradigm in terms of wellness. We want to prevent disease. We want remedies that are safe, effective, natural. We want we don't want any side effects. Of course, we all want free drugs. If somebody would provide free medications, this is what most of our patients demand. डॉक्टर साहब बड़ी महंगी दवाई है and थोड़े दिन में छोड़ देते हैं. You won't hesitate to have a 300 rupee cup of coffee, but a 10 rupee tablet which saves our lives, we would be finding it quite expensive. So this is our mindsets, and this is where medicine is now shifting its focus on, because clearly healthcare approaches need to be modified if we are to improve the health of the planet. And we need approaches which are holistic. Gone are the days where doctors would just prescribe drugs and my problem was over. I don't know anything about peace of mind or your family problems. You go sort them out yourselves. I'm just trained to write drugs and do surgeries. So that is what I do. But this is not so. We are now bridging science and these wellness paradigms. We are coming together in terms of holistic wellness. We are embracing different specialities together so that we are able to improve our health. As always, West has been leading the debate, leading the tirade against uh, demarcation of a new kind of science which is emerging. And this is more than 15 years old cover of the Time magazine talking about science of meditation. If you remember, my presentation was titled as Science and Meditation. And the West already 15 years ago was talking about the science of meditation, because it was accepted that it is a science, and they had started exploring the science behind meditation. And this is a famous Hollywood actor. I hope we see such covers in our country, where people from as diverse fields as film industry, sports, etc., come forward and tell the people, yes, I do meditate and I find that meditation is helping me. But our film actors, our sports person are still busy endorsing uh, tobacco products, alcohol, and other lifestyle which are very, very detrimental to our overall health. So this was the science of meditation which hit the Western world somewhere in 60s and 70s, and a lot of research started happening, and we've come a very far in terms of understanding what happens when we are meditating. For example, after we had this functional MRI invented, as I mentioned, scientific tools are aiding us more and more in exploring the benefits of meditation. For example, we did not have functional MRI when I completed my MD, but it is now available. So what a functional MRI does is that it continuously examines your brain when you're doing any activity. So we are now able to examine the brains of people when they are meditating in the MRI machines. So we are examining their brains, and what we found was, when we started meditation, this is a scan just before meditation, there is a chaotic activity in lateral parts of the brain. The front and the back part of the brain have different kind of activity, but hectic activity in this part of the brain. But 10 minutes after meditation, the entire brain pattern has become very harmonized. And this was what the participants reported as feeling very cool, very calm. So we learned that when you meditate, these areas of the brain calm down. Similarly, we identified different areas of the brain that stop their activities when we are meditating. Some areas of the brain take over, start regulating when we start meditating. So lots of new understanding came up when we started exploring and doing studies on different types of meditation and what happens inside you when you meditate. As I mentioned, this wonderful field of epigenetics is now opening new vistas. We are proving that by meditation and other exercises, just by changing our thought patterns, we are able to influence the genes and thereby influence many of the diseases that we would not get, because our behavior would be altered just by thinking correctly. A lot of literature being published. These are bestseller books. I would like you all to explore as a young person. I think most of us are very much into reading books, and these were my first gurus. I can say I would not listen to anybody, but book is a wonderful compilation of several people putting their researches together and coming out with a thread which you can read, and within a few pages you've had so much of wisdom which would require years and years of experiencing. So reading of books is a wonderful habit, I think, which all of us should cultivate. So these are some of the very few books which I would recommend, but there's a host of other books that are leading the way. These are one of the path breaking works that I would encourage everybody to lay their hands on. The Heart's Code is a compilation of lots of researches that have been done in the field of neurology, cardiology, heart transplant patients, and very startling revelations have come with this compilation. A very clearly scientific collection of published research and thought provoking questions, very, very disturbing questions coming up. Heart transplant patients completely changing their behavior. If my habits and behavior are in the brain, why after a heart transplant, receiving a heart of another person, my habits would change? My behavior would start resembling the person whose heart I have received. Those kind of questions are being answered by these researches. A very good book. Similarly, Dr. Bruce Lipton's seminal work on the biology of belief completely changes the way biology is being taught in our schools even now. Just talking of structural biology, we are now moving towards quantum biology, where we will be knowing and teaching our students how just a single thought can actually have echoes right up to our DNA levels, and repeated thoughts can result in overall change in our cellular behavior and thereby influence our diseases. We are now believing, based on scientific evidence, that the heart can feel. It is said that heart is sending out more signals to the brain than the heart is receiving from the brain. So these are works which are going on in one of the best labs of the world, a very, very interesting field of research, bridging physics and medicine, bridging science and spirituality, and blurring the boundaries of biology, physics, spirituality, all these fields. Wonderful works going on across the globe. Very interesting researches coming out day in and day out. So it is no longer, as a doctor, we are not just confining treating your bodies, because as I mentioned, even for heart attack, psychosocial stress is as powerful a risk factor as is cigarette smoking. So we do not take it lightly. If you are told that during COVID lots of heart attacks happened and heart attack increased, it was because of, not because of the virus causing the heart attack, it was because of the stress related to the scenario we were all pushed into. Some people were not able to cope with their stress and ended up having heart attacks. Why are film stars, some of them, claiming to go to gyms, having heart attack at young ages? If you examine their lifestyle, it is a very unhealthy lifestyle. Waking up long hours, complete sleep deprivation for days together, going to the gyms at 1 o'clock in the morning and in the gym up to 3 a.m. in the morning, and then going to sleep. Similarly, in our shift workers, going to sleep at 8 a.m. in the morning, waking up at 12 noon, and then beginning your day. So these topsy-turvy lifestyles are responsible for most of the diseases that are happening now. So it is not just treating the body. We need to adjust our lifestyles, and we need to have a holistic approach to health, which is being looked at across the globe. And we are now very seriously looking at not just talking to the patient, treating the patient in terms of a body, but looking at his or her background, the family from which the patient is coming, what are the stresses that are bothering the patient. Very commonly, when we take histories that we are taught in our medicines, whenever a patient of heart attack is admitted, a detailed history will very often tell us, scratch a little surface, and the patients will start confiding in us that the daughter-in-law is not behaving properly. The son left our home. A lot of stress going on. Pension has not been there for several months. COVID has hit our businesses very badly. Inflation is rising. Stress which was building up, something triggered, and I had a heart attack. Very, very commonly, it is stress, which we find as a cause of heart attack. And meditation is coming up as a very, very powerful tool for stress management. We have drugs for stress, yes, but lots and lots of side effects, lots of abuse and addiction liability. We have seen patients taking high doses of sleeping pills but still not able to sleep. And do meditation for a few days, few months, see how soundly you are able to sleep and how fresh you wake up the next morning. So we have these, very briefly, I'll take you through a compilation from world over the studies that are being done. So this is from a European Journal of Cardiology, mind you, not from India, not from me. And they have looked at meditation and yoga and tried to see their effects on overall risk factors that I showed you for heart attack: blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, physical activity. And they found that yoga had significant impact on body mass index. So for losing weight, there's no need to pump iron as much as doing effective yogic exercises. They are equally effective. Similarly, powerful impact on blood pressure, even on cholesterol, blood sugar, and of course on stress. So lots of studies on blood pressure led to American Heart Association giving out this scientific statement 5 years ago that meditation is an alternative approach to BP management, as powerful as salt restriction, exercise, weight reduction that we talk to our patients before giving them drug. So now they say that talk about meditation to all your patients because it is equally effective. This is coming from the American Heart Association, not from Indian Yoga or any other organization. A very, very scientific statement backed by evidence based on the number of studies that have been done. They have given a level of recommendation. This is depending upon the kind of study, the quality of studies, and the number of studies being done. If we have more and more studies done, then we will have the recommendation jumping from class 2 to 1 and from B to level A. Similarly, we have studies, very good studies showing that just 2 weeks of meditation help 60% of people quit smoking. A very safe and very effective intervention to help people get rid of habits very difficult to quit, like smoking. We have studies showing the benefits on cholesterol also. And the most powerful effect is, of course, on stress, something which is very, very, very difficult to treat. Talk to any patient that you have stress, he feels offended. नहीं नहीं, मुझे स्ट्रेस नहीं होता साहब, मैं स्ट्रेस लेता ही नहीं है, मैं तो बिल्कुल खुश रहता हूँ. कल ही मैं एक हॉलीडे जाके आया हूँ, मेरे को स्ट्रेस कैसे हो सकता है? बट because there is no test for stress, there is no definition for stress. What is stress? Nobody can define it. Is something very, very difficult to capture, something very difficult to study. But science has found a way, and there have been lots of studies done. And this is a compilation of more than 47 randomized controlled trials, statistically one of the best ways of looking at any scientific tool which is claimed to have effect and compare it to just matter of chance or placebo. And only when you have significant value, then you are able to say that yes, this thing works on its own and it is not just a matter of chance that it is effective. So it has been shown that meditation studies have shown that the effect size of meditation, which is about 30%, is the same as all the antidepressant drugs put together. The very, very expensive drugs with numerous side effects, addiction, abuse liability, having the same effectiveness as meditation. So, based on these studies, meditation is the number one tool in all our medical journals, in all our textbooks for stress management. Meditation is recommended. We have now meditation studios, meditation rooms, prayer rooms in all the big hospitals across the world. Wherever you find, you go to websites of hospitals, stress management, you will find meditation top of the list based on evidence, scientific evidence. We had a wonderful study done from Heartfulness Institute in the US in a hospital setup, a very, very stressful setup. And one of the reasons why, being a doctor, I'm still into meditation, because this is something which has carried me along, helped me cope with tremendous stress which I have come across, not only in personal life, but also in terms of lives of patients that we are dealing with, because we are responsible for lives of our patients also. And sometimes the situation is very stressful and it gets on you. So we have to have a balanced approach. We have to remain poised in spite of the circumstances. So it has helped me a lot, and it is accepted that hospitals are one of the most stressful environments across the world, not taking away anything from the armed forces or the highly intellectually demanding enterprises like technology fields, some of the police forces. But medicine has its own stresses and one of the most stressful professions for several reasons. So this study was done in a hospital setup in the US, and we shared heartfulness practices with half of the people, and 12 weeks after that we examined them, and half of the people who did not meditate with the heartfulness way, we compared the effect at the end of 12 weeks with the meditation group versus the non-meditation group. So it was seen that there was significant improvement in the feeling of burnout, and all the negative emotions like anger, cynicism, anxiety, irritability were much less. Very often seen that यार मैं तो हॉस्पिटल गया और वो नर्स तो ठीक से बात ही नहीं कर रही थी, इतनी गुस्से में थी, लगता है घर से लड़के आई थी नर्स, या इतनी चिड़चिड़ी थी, या डॉक्टर तो बिल्कुल टाइम ही नहीं था उसके पास, वो इतना हरेडली काम कर रहा था, मेरे को 10 मिनट ही दिए उसने. But if you look at behind the scenes, if you go into their lifestyle, you will see how much stressful the environment is. And human beings working in the healthcare industry, all this also gets to us. We also get irritated, restless, cynical sometimes. We also get burnt out. Day in and day out, you cannot have compassion. You cannot always be smiling falsely to every patient who comes to you. So these things happen as a human beings, but it was seen that all positive emotions improve, like calmness, harmony, tolerance, sleep quality improve, because very irregular sleep habits because of shift works we have in the hospitals. And this was a very powerful study. And very important result which came, which was path breaking, was that it demonstrated that there was an increase in telomere length in the younger people aged 33 and under. What is telomere? Is it is a part of chromosome, DNA. So those who meditated just for 12 weeks had increase in the DNA length, and telomere is an important part because it is concerned with longevity, good health, and immunity. So those who meditated, particularly younger people, had increase in this healthy part of the DNA, which is responsible for making us living longer. And this was published in a journal, still available on Google. You can Google this study, Heartfulness Study, Themapuram et al. Heartfulness Study, you will find this. Similarly, we did a study in collaboration with IIT Delhi, which was mentioned in my introduction. A very interesting coming together of IIT and medicine, I should say. And these were all remarkable people. We came together, psychologists, myself from the field of cardiology, Dr. Arya, again, and BTech, MTech from IIT Kharagpur, DRDO scientist who was the lead author of this publication. And we examined heartfulness practitioners as they were meditating and doing their cleaning practice. We examined their heart rate variability. We hooked them up with a Holter monitor, and continuously we recorded their ECG as they were meditating and doing their cleaning. And we compared it to sitting quietly for 30 minutes. And the results were startling. We demonstrated that when we were meditating with the heartfulness method and doing our cleanings, there was changes happening in our nervous system in such a way that our stress system, which we call the sympathetic system, was switching down, and our calm system, which we call the parasympathetic system, which we call the rest digest system, was becoming more active. So the stress system was being inactivated by these practices, and this was significantly and very clearly statistically proven. These numbers are all statistics, and again how science is helping spirituality in proving the theories, proving the work that is happening, statistical analysis being done, and these numbers, Fourier analysis showing that these are statistically significant numbers. This was the first of its kind study, a remarkable study showing the effect of meditation with the heartfulness way from our country, and it got widespread publicity in the media across the country, very nicely in the vernacular press also, and we got a cover issue of India Today also. And I was very happy because we have started talking of science of meditation in our country also now. So the topic has changed from science and meditation to the science of meditation. And we have started exploring what happens behind it and stopped ridiculing it or taking it lightly now. We also had this World Symposium, the first World Symposium being hosted by All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Rishikesh, which is again a proof that we are now taking these enterprises seriously. And as mentioned earlier on, our research paper on the heartfulness meditation and what it does to the subconscious brain and the conscious brain, how it bypasses the conscious brain, has and produces effect on happiness, won the first prize for the best research paper from amongst hundreds of papers which had come. And this was because of the clear evidence, scientifically clearly evidence that we could demonstrate that nobody could question. And I would end my presentation by this again, a man of science. We are living in the world of quantum physics, enjoying the wonders of quantum physics, like this Zoom call that we are having, remotely sitting in the comforts of our home, enjoying seeing each other, listening to each other without feeling any difference, is all because of the wonders of quantum physics. But these great minds had foreseen that when you go very deep into any science, it is said that if you are a student of science and you've not thought about God and these aspects of spirituality, you've not understood science at all. Similarly, this father of quantum physics is telling that initially, when you just started delving into the field of science, you will be an atheist. You will make very light, like I used to make fun of these things like God and spiritual talks, and I could not understand how uh, Viman could be there, or how somebody could travel in the air thousands of years ago, and how a Spitfire uh, bow and arrow could be fired as we used to see in Mahabharata. But now we are learning, because I was very young to the field of science. It was not gone into the depths of science, but these men who were very, very great minds are telling us that if you go deep into the field of physics, you will find that God is waiting for you. And this is coming from the father of quantum physics. We cannot afford to laugh at these people, because these people are what is the world being run on today. So we have come a far way in terms of seeing how meditation helps our body. We don't have most of the answers right now because it is a very, very young field. But we do understand that when we meditate regularly for a period of time, hormonal changes happen in our body. Stress hormone levels go down. All good hormone levels go up. For example, melatonin hormone is the sleeping hormone. We have tablets of melatonin. I prescribe it to patients who find it very difficult to sleep. So those who meditate have higher levels of sleeping hormones, melatonin hormone, and they are able to sleep better. Happiness hormones, feel good hormones like serotonin, their levels are higher. So, meditating people are happier people. Similarly, our stress sympathetic system is less active, our calm system is more active, which we demonstrated in our research. Effects on muscle strength improves when you do meditation regularly. These are all backed by studies. Our basal metabolic rate is less, so something which we were talking about during COVID times, because it makes your system more efficient, that you are using less energy, like an efficient car engine, less petrol consumption but more efficiently running engine. Similarly, less basal metabolic rate, consuming less energy but functioning more effectively. This is why most of our people we've seen are ancient rishis, it is said, were used to fast for years and continue working for years, remaining very fit in the body also. All these being proven by scientific exercise, and of course, reduced oxygen consumption also. So less oxygen consumption, we are meditators are not a burden on the society. Consuming more oxygen, we are consuming less oxygen as compared to non-meditators. There are studies related to brain waves. Very briefly, I'll touch on these topics. Very fascinating field, and which we are utilizing for our students. And I often feel that had I known about this in my student days, when my children were young, we could have used this for improving their brains. I could have done well, much, much more better in my school exams and my college exams, and I would have had more time for my other activities that I wanted to do. Because if you have a focused and a sharp mind, which meditation gives you, in less time you can accomplish the task, and then you have more time at your hands to do what you like to do. And this is what meditation gives. It keeps you more and more in the theta and delta waveform state. And this is a state when the mind is very relaxed, but also very intuitive, very receptive. So if our students listening to me in a classroom are in the theta and delta waveform, they are likely to learn more, they're likely to observe more, they're likely to absorb the lecture much more effectively as compared to people whose brain are running here and there, looking out of the window, thinking of 10 things they have to do, randomly running around brain, which is the beta waveform, excited and awake waveform. Most people are in this throughout the day, but meditative minds are in this state most of the time. Again, benefits of meditation on the brain. There is a lot of research being translated into practical practically improving our lives, and that is how we are uh, sharing these practices more and more with schools, colleges, and as evidences come up, we can give them scientific backups why we should be asking our students to have focused minds, to meditate more, and to do these practices. So all over the world, there is an increasing interest. As we all know, half of the US patients also are practicing alternative science. As I mentioned in the Lancet publication, it is not uniquely an Indian practice that we all have belief in Ayurveda or Unani or homeopathy and we don't like to take allopathic medicine. It is a worldwide phenomena that we look at alternative healing methods, energy healing, quantum healing, chiropractic. I was one of the most biggest, I should say, anti science person, and I used to ridicule these practices as totally unscientific now. And now I'm seeing that as evidence is coming up, we are embracing more and more of these practices because we have experienced that these practices also work, are also helping in healing. So we are becoming more open as a science and embracing these alternative ways of healing also. More and more research grants are becoming available even in our country for doing these kind of researches, something which was not possible some time ago. And recognizing the power of this, we all know that we are now celebrating International Yoga Day the world over. And irrespective of the religious backgrounds, most countries within no time voted in favor when our Prime Minister suggested to observe this day. And it was embraced unanimously because it was understood that this is something definitely going to help. And at Heartfulness Institute, we have been undertaking these activities, continuous demands and escalation. Like it's like an explosion which is happening in terms of the demand that is coming up for people wanting to experience these practices firsthand. And because once you experience, you are definitely bound to get hooked up to these practices. If you carry them forward for a few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks at least, sincerely observe them from a very scientific practice. And to the youth, I'll say, be very critical, be very questioning. I used to eat the minds of my trainers, used to question them like anything about the different practices. Why should I do this? Why should I not experience? Why am I not experiencing this and that? Very minutely and detailed. I think you should examine it because you should not waste time on something that is useless. So examine it, go with it for some weeks. If you find you are changing, if you find positive changes happening, you find you are experiencing something for sure, take it forward with you and don't leave it. Explore it further and see the wonders it can do for you. So these are some of the pictures of the workshops that is happening across the place that we are helping people do. These are the other books I definitely recommend all of you to lay your hands on, particularly the second book. The first book, when it came, it hit the charts and remained on the top of the charts for the first 6 months, launched by the first citizen of our country at that time. And it was not the book of Raghuram Rajan or a cricket player or a film star which was topping the charts. It was a simple book about the meditation practice which was topping the charts because very compelling read and it was clear that people are wanting to know about improving our lives in more sublime ways, and this is why it became a bestseller. Similarly, the second book, a more scientific take on these practices, again continued to top the charts after its release. But not everything can be proven scientifically, and I'm glad that I continued this practice even not having any proof, because for me, what I experienced myself doing these practices were the best proof. There was not much literature, in fact, no literature of science, because of which I continued this practice. It was only my own experience which I felt during meditation that helped me continue with this practice over a period of time. So, not everything that we experience can be measured. It is very, very difficult to study scientifically these feelings and emotions and experiences of love. For example, if I ask you, if you are in love, what is the brainwave pattern that you have in your brain? Science has not figured that out as of now. So when you are in love, you know what happens to your heart. It's a different feeling, but can we measure it? Can we give a number to it? It was less love, it was more love today, yesterday. It is, these things are very, very difficult. But we are moving forward. Instrumentation is improving. Uh, it's an impossible field. The domain of spirituality is completely a different domain. The domain of science is limited to material object. So I think the twain shall never meet, but at least we can have a scientific temper, examine these practices, experience them firsthand. Don't go by anybody telling you anything. Test them for yourself and then take them forward. So I'll end with the another great scientist of our time. These are gods in the field of science because their word is what the world is running upon. Again, all of these great minds have talked about spirituality. The most beautiful and profound emotion we can experience is the sensation of the mystical. It is the power of all true science. And this was said by the greatest mind of our times, Albert Einstein. With that, I'll end my presentation and I'll leave you with these connects through which you can take up these practices. They'll help you connect with a trainer. They can help you have these practices in the comforts and privacy of your homes without seeking anybody's help. Use of this app, download this app, visit our website, lay your hands, read about these organization, heartfulness.org, explore the practices, take them forward, and hopefully we'll be together more and more. We'll see you somewhere in the workshops of heartfulness. Thank you so much for your listening, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Thank you very much, sir, for this very interactive and effective session. We are having a lot many questions to ask you, and we are running out of time for it as well. So the first question that we are having is from Miss Anupama Gupta, and sir, she is asking, sir, how can we measure our consciousness?
So, a wonderful question. So spirituality is all about expansion of consciousness. And as I mentioned, these are things very, very difficult to measure. But we have now worked out an algorithm, and it's like a revelation. I can tell you that at the Heartfulness Institute, we have this study which we are going to start. A tool, a questionnaire, an algorithm, which we can say is can be an indicator of our level of consciousness, which we have started exploring. And once this study is completed, we will be able to share the results with you. It's putting together different aspects related to heart rate variability, the electrodermal sensors, the skin temperature, the brain waves, all these put together and coming out with an algorithm which will give us a level of our consciousness, which has been worked out, it has been proposed, and it is now being tested scientifically before we release it as a tool for measuring our consciousness.
Thank you very much, sir, for this answer. Sir, would like to bring to your kind acknowledgement that approx 150 to 200 students who are preparing for NEET examination are watching this session live,
Wonderful.
from a single classroom, and I am privileged that they all joined us from a single roof. So it's a pleasure for them and for the Dhadcan Foundation as well that we got you with this for this very special session. So without any delay, would like to present the second question that we are hitting on the screen. That is from Miss Monica Chabra. She's asking, why is there so much stress in doctors' life and how to reduce it so that the future generations are free from it, and how to make children interested in meditation as they consider and old school.
Not very clear answer. I don't know why there is so much stress in doctor's life. Uh, it is not so if you ask me. Stress is all in the mind and how we take things. Now I can say that because situations can become stressful, and it is stress. We are stressed only when we are not able to handle them appropriately. Most of the stress that we have in any sphere is because we are not planned our day properly. We are not clear in our minds about the concepts that we do. We have lot many things to do and taken up lot many tasks, and we are not able to finish them in time. So this gives us stress, and sometimes very common reason is which is given by spirituality, that because of the desires, undue expectations, unreasonable desires, lots of desires, in fact, lots of wants, that creates stress. If we have the right attitude, which spiritual practice will give you, being in the present, not letting your mind wander here and there, think irrelevant things all the time, staying focused on the task at head, what you have at hand. If you give your best to that task, I think there's very little reason to be stressed. And most of the doctors who have learned to regulate their lives and have kind of a discipline in their lives are not stressed. So it is not always that you are stressed. It is only when you fail to handle the situation appropriately that you get stressed. And meditation gives you a handle on that. It gives you a clarity of mind, a clarity of purpose. There are things you would say no most of the day. I know I won't be able to do this because I have to have time for myself. I won't attend this webinar because I have to meditate. I won't go to this party because I have something important to finish. So things like that will give you a regulated life. So all of us, I think, should have a clear handle on our 24 hours. This is what we have, 24 hours. And this is completely in my control how I regulate my 24 hours. There's no pressure on me. And what is important from me, for you, all of us know in our hearts, what is important for me right now. I should give utmost attention to that and forget about everything in the past or future. And this is what meditation gives you, the ability to remain in the present and to have an improved focus on the task at hand. And then there'll be no stress.
Right. Thank you very much, sir, for this answer as well. Umesh Rao, Mr. Umesh Rao is asking, sir, how long these brain wave changes remain in body after meditation?
Very, very good question. I think a very intelligent question. Thank you, Brother Rao, because like we did our study with heart rate variability, we measured their heart rate variability during meditation for 30 minutes and cleaning for 30 minutes. And I was very keen to know what happens after these people walked out of our lab. How long were these changes sustained? And this is a question we need to answer because these are bulky apparatus and you need to carry it all along. But I would love to do this kind of a study. And what happens during meditation? And if we have a monitor, which we are coming to those studies now, planning to do one such study where you have a wearable watch, for example, it is examining your state of mind, your feelings, your electrodermal activity, even your feelings and emotions as you are meditating, as you are doing the cleaning practice, or as you are praying. And also when you are in your school or in your college, continuously you're wearing this watch, and throughout the 24-hour period, it is regulating. And we will be able to have a map what happened to these people who were meditating and how long were they able to sustain this effect compared to the people who were non-meditators and how was their state of mind and feeling. So these are studies to happen. We don't have the answer exactly in terms of this many hours, but we have this idea of meditative state in heartfulness. And if you meditate and remain in that state for a longer period, and there are practice, we tell all our practitioners to try and retain that meditative state. And I'm very sure that we will be able to prove that for those of us who are able to retain that meditative state, these effects continue to last. While those of us who lose that condition, immediately, if you do some activity, if you immediately switch on your YouTube or start watching a news channel or start watching a music video, you lose that condition definitely. So these things are to be proven, yes, but I think they will be proven. And we are supposed to carry this meditative state if we are to have continued effect of these practices for us.
Thank you, sir. Miss Ikrananda is asking how to make meditation part of our daily regime.
Simply by meditating every day. So how do you make brushing a part of your daily activities? I've seen people spend 1 hour in the bathrooms every day, and then we claim we don't have time. So medicine told me one thing, youngsters, please don't mind. Don't ask your mothers. Like brushing your teeth is good for dental hygiene. We were taught in childhood, and we religiously do that. Our mothers have taught us, our parents have taught us. We do it. Everybody does it because we know it is unhygienic if we don't brush our teeth. So spending 15 minutes for something you don't think about even for a minute in your day, your teeth. We don't even call them living parts of our lives. We spend 15 minutes brushing our teeth. Can't we spend half an hour to 1 hour for our minds which define us? We are what our minds are. So I think all of us can take out, all of us have had 24 hours. Swami Vivekananda had 24 hours. Einstein had 24 hours. We have 24 hours. We can always find time if we are interested in doing this, we are interested in testing this. And mind you, we will not ask you to stop brushing your teeth or taking baths. We will still have time.
Right, sir. So, are we having any more questions to ask Dr. Mehrotra? All the delegates are welcome with their questions if we do have any questions. Okay, I find there are no more questions and we are done with the questionnaire. Personally, sir, I have a question from my end to ask you. Usually, it happens that youth is busy with their career and other objectives in life. And how should we go with something spiritual while we are in such an important phase of our lives?
See, it was like our current guide, Daji, affectionately called. He very nicely mentioned that this was the cousin I started with, science and spirituality. You can substitute science for anything that you're doing, studies and spirituality, uh, corporate life and spirituality, household work and spirituality. We keep them separate. We treat them as different entities. And that is the problem. It is not like that. We have to integrate the two. We have to integrate spirituality with everything that we do. And that is what spirituality has always been practicing and preaching. It is not that we promote that you stop doing whatever you are doing and just meditate for hours together. It has never been like that and it will never be like that. We are all working people. In fact, meditation will only make us more effective in whatever we do. In fact, in
Right.
Gita, Lord Krishna said that yoga karmasu kaushlam. Yoga lies in skill in action. As students, it is my endeavor to do well in my exams, to understand my subject very clearly, to have command over my subject. As a man of medicine, I want to have complete control over my subject of medicine, to be very good in my profession, to feel. So, meditation will give me a clarity, give me a focused mind, and that will immediately translate into all these things. And what it demands is just regulating my mind to doing some practice for a few hours. If playing games makes your brain smarter, sorting out puzzles makes your brain smarter, then by doing that for some time, it is like an investment in making our brain smarter. So by doing meditation for some time in the morning, cleaning sometime in the evening, if the rest of the day is more effectively spent, then I think there is no harm in incorporating these practices in our time. Besides, how to integrate meditation in our day-to-day activities. Like I remember in our student days, those who were very religious, we used to throng temples one day before our exams. If there is a Balaji temple on Tuesday and our exam is on Wednesday, maximum students from our hostel will be found in the Balaji temple of our times. And we would write all kind of Shri Ganeshaya Nama on the answer sheets, Om and Swastika on the answer sheets, and
Right, right.
our Muslim brethren would write something 786 on the answer sheet. Bismillah, we would always do. It's just like that. What spirituality and heartfulness teaches us is that before undertaking any activity, before undertaking any task, you just involve the heart in it. Go with your heart. Just close your eyes for a moment before starting any practice. Go to your heart, get tuned to your heart, and then undertake that activity in the thought that this is your worship. You are doing it for the divinity in you. You are doing the best. You want to do the best, and you are doing it for the divinity in you, or the light in you, or the life force in you, whatever you may like to call it. And it is as simple as that. Any task that you take, even eating, even drinking, giving your exams, just go focus in your heart, feel the calmness in your heart, and then undertake that activity involving your heart in your activity and see how well it goes. And that is the best for you always. You're not supposed to do any Herculean task by including any other thing. And this was, in fact, one thing which led me to spirituality, because here I am sitting in the examination hall thinking about my God who is in my temple. So, how will my God listen to my prayer if he is in the temple in the corner of my town? How is it scientifically
Right.
possible to convey my prayer to my God? So these were simple questions, and we know the answer. All of us know that it is in our hearts that we have the power, all the God, everything, whatever you may like to call. So let's close our eyes, go in our hearts. Everything is there.
Right, sir. Miss Ikrananda is asking one more question, that is, what is the difference between meditation and mindfulness?
Okay, mindfulness is one type of meditation. There are many methods of meditation being given. Vipassana meditation, Zen meditation, and there are studies related to most of these systems. Mindfulness is something which was started by a doctor, a medical man, became very popular in the West because it was examined right at the outset in terms of effects on health. And there are lots of studies available since its outset. Mindfulness is just about regulating your mind, about thinking on a particular line. And whenever you notice that your mind is wandering, just bringing it back and having an affirmative thought. While heartfulness is a meditation system which meditates on the heart, it also regulates the mind, but mindfulness becomes just first part of heartfulness. And what is unique about heartfulness is something called yogic transmission, which is experienced by you when you meditate with a trainer, which makes you go into the depths of your consciousness right at the very outset, in the first few sessions. And that is what separates heartfulness from all other systems of meditation. I have been meditating the heartfulness way, so that is what I have been speaking about and talking about, and that is what I can tell you.
Right. Thank you very much, sir. I hope we are done with all the questions and answers as well, and it was a very wonderful talk.
Thank you.
I'm privileged to have Dr. Mehrotra with us, because it has been a very good time with you, sir. And I
Thank you.
find that we have covered the maximum part with the audience questions, and I find it has almost been more than 1 hour that you and just acknowledging to the questions that the audience is asking. I am very thankful to you, sir. Uh, with this, I would like to extend my extreme vote of thanks and my extreme honor to all the guests who joined us today, especially Dr. Rahul Mehrotra, sir, Mr. Sanjay Sehgal, sir, and Ms. Kritika Krishna, ma'am. It was a privilege to have all of you all together on this second and the last day of National Virtual Conference on EQ, Emotional Quotient, a concept for heartful neuro leadership. And I find that all our delegates must have enjoyed these sessions, both the days, and must have got to learn a lot many things, a lot many experiences on both the days. Guys, we are inviting all of you to witness this method of meditation, the heartfulness meditation method, at Kanha Shantivanam, which is located in Hyderabad. It's a wonderful place you guys must visit. You will have the best experience of meditation and emotional quotient of yourself, emotional life of yours. You will have a great time there if you visit Kana Shantivanam at Hyderabad. We are having a great event in this month only from 27th to the 9th September, and all are invited to this mega event of Heartfulness Institute at Kana Shantivanam, Hyderabad. For any sort of queries from any of our guest speakers, you are most welcome with your questions, queries through emails. The email ID has been already shared with all of you in the chat box there. If any one of you wants to note, it is dhadkan, DHADCAN dot full, FUL, @gmail.com. Full here refers to focusing on useful learning, and dhadkan, that is DHADCAN. Sir, we have a full form to it, and we have named it dhadkan, but the main title of dhadkan is Developing Human Actions for Dreaming Children Amongst Nation. So this is Third Foundation, and we are working on an objective of full focusing on useful learning, and we are covering almost every aspect of life which can help the youth to grow in a positive and the best manner. We will keep organizing such sessions further as well, and we have got some requests for you, Dr. Mehrotra, that
Okay.
people from some institutes wants to have you with them for a live session,
More than
physical
happy to
live
join.
session, I find it is.
Always happy to join
So,
in.
yeah, Miss Monica Chabra has just mentioned, would like to invite you to our place for this illuminating talk.
Thank you
I
so
find
much.
that Dr. Mehrotra will for sure be available with you for his session. And with this, we would like to conclude this National Virtual Conference on EQ Emotional Quotient, a concept for heartful neuro leadership. As it is already mentioned that we'll be sharing you a book that will be in the soft copy along with your certificates, which will be shared within a week on your registered email IDs. For any information, you may please contact us through mail or the phone numbers which are provided to you in the email. You may feel free to contact us through Instagram handles and Facebook handles as well. With this, we conclude with the session. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Mehrotra, for joining.
Thank
Thank you all. With this, we end the session. With this, we end this national conference on EQ, a concept for heartful neuro leadership. Thank you. Pranams.